outdoor rallies, and they recommend using bulletproof glass. He's going to be the bubble boy, Dom.
He was. Well, that's what he was at the Ellipse, right? Or whenever he did that speech, he had a glass thing in front of him then. Drug price plan. We should get there in the 4 o'clock hour.
5 o'clock. Going to do the lunch at 4.
All right, coming up on 30 seconds.
We'll forget to do it again.
All right,
I got lunch. Okay, at 4. Okay.
All right, gonna kill everything.
All right, dude.
The Devil's Advocates radio show is broadcast under a time brokerage agreement between Devil Radio and Civic Media, Inc. Some portions of this program may be pre-recorded. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Civic Media Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
And now, here's your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Dom, something of a Clean the Decks Thursday edition.
Oh, yeah? Why is that? Pretty good to see you, man.
We're going to have a potpourri of politics and all sorts of stuff going on in this big show today, Dom.
Ooh, a smorgasbord, a potpourri?
I would say we might even have a plethora of politics, Dom.
A plethora. Sounds like a lot, Rudy.
But tomorrow will be less live than today.
Less live.
At least from a radio point of view. Tomorrow,
well, you never know, man. It's a long ways away.
Something could break. If it's a big enough story, you know Crute will show up. But tomorrow, Dom, I'm preparing for the big trip to the DNC next week. Very anticipatory of my household. Everyone can't wait till Dad's gone. Get out of here already.
When are you leaving?
I got to pick up my dry cleaning later this evening before 6:30. Then I can sneak out of town and then off to Chicago. And Dom, I'm even going a little bit early, do some reconnaissance on the DNC in Chicago.
Excellent.
Do you know they've got a like a Kamala Palooza party going on every day?
Yeah, Did
you see that? The Washington Post.
Yeah. It's going to be a party in Chicago, man.
I'm going to be at the Kamala Palooza bright and early Monday morning. When the party starts, Crudy's going to be there. So
first one there, last one to leave, Crudy.
For Monday, and Dom, I've mentioned Kamala Harris coming to Milwaukee on Tuesday. And I envy many of you who can take the day off work and go see Kamala on Tuesday. I have put in my credential request, Dom. Still don't have any details on anything other than the fact it will be at the Fiserv Forum. And Crudy, who's been wrong on some of the finer details lately, but broad strokes have been great. But on some of the finer details, I've missed my predictions. But I'm predicting a daytime rally in deference to the fact it's DNC week in Chicago. And while I think this is a politically brilliant move to involve the state of Wisconsin, to bring Milwaukee in, to include the city that didn't quite get included in the never happened 2020 DNC, sort of a sad moment for me.
Well, and the barely happened 2024 RNC, man. I talked to a lot of the people around here that were involved that have businesses downtown, waiting to see what the actual numbers coming back for this RNC, but lots of folks are disappointed.
Well, probably not $200 million, except perhaps on Grindr.
Never know.
Anyways, Tom, very excited that the vice president's going to come to a rally in Milwaukee on Tuesday. I have put in for credentials. I'm hoping to do a doubleheader because I am not taking off work on Tuesday. I'm just hoping to go to Kamla before the real workday starts for me, which would be a quick drive back to Chicago, and then join you on the radio at 4 o'clock, and then DNC coverage. We're anchoring all week long on WCPT 820 AM, KTNF 950 AM up in Minneapolis, and of course, right here on the Civic Media Network. But next week, you don't have to tune in to us until 4 o'clock, but all the fine Civic Media hosts, they're all going to be down in Chicago. Quite a cavalcade, a plethora of radio stars, Dom.
A potpourri?
You might say. So next week, very exciting. But we just had our partisan primary hangover edition yesterday, Dom. And, there was one guy who's still hanging around. He apparently won on Tuesday, ? He didn't feel like a winner, but the Republican senatorial candidate from Laguna Beach, Wisconsin, he would like to claim, Eric Hudvey. Eric Hudvey, he went to WisPolitics? Big event for him. Pretty clear he was going to win the primary, although Charles Barman, a noble showing for Barman. But Hudvey, Dom, what did Hudvey have to say first time he met the press post-election?
We have some sound of the man, I guess his thoughts on abortion. Jessie Apoyan over at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, she helps us break it down, abortion, border, and inflation. Some takeaways, according to our friend Jessie. Economic strife is top of mind. The amount of people I've interfaced with over the last 7 months are thousands upon thousands of people. I'm talking to people every day. It is without question the economy. And you can define that as jobs. You can define that as inflation, overall economic growth. That's what Hubby told our pal Jeff Mayers at WisPolitics.
Who interfaces?
He interfaces.
I mean, really, is that candidate lingo? Did you learn that down at banker CEO school?
I mean,
where do you
interact
interface with the people?
I interact with lots of people. I talk to lots of people. I've been hanging out with my constituents. I interface. I am interfacing with my people. Look at my mustache. Look at my mustache. Interface. Come on, man. Oh, right. Who talks like that?
Eric Hudvey.
Defined as jobs, inflation, and overall economic growth. Well, jobs, pretty damn good since the Biden administration has taken over. Inflation, under 3% for the first time in years this month. Perhaps some rate cuts. And overall economic growth and GDP continues to grow. So I'm interested to hear what Hovde has to say about that. As Jessie Apoyan writes, consumer prices rose 2.9% over the last year through July. Suggests inflation surge of 2022 continues. However, annual inflation rate hasn't dipped below 3% since March of 2021. Inflation has gently declined this summer following a brief spike in the spring.
Would you call that a soft landing?
Hopefully, yeah.
Harris.
Certainly.
Soft landing, meaning not tumbling into a recession.
Well, and they're not controlling the Fed, I mean, they're not trying to put their thumbs on
Trump
the
would like to.
Oh, well, of course he would. And so if the economic situation is not as dire as certainly some of these megas would love it to be, who does that? Right. Oh, man, economy's terrible. You're terrible. Everything sucks about everything. But you look at the numbers, the jobs, employment has continued to be positive and better than it was under Trump. And if you're going to say, hey, the Kamala crash, remember that? Well, what? It came back up. It balanced out. We're right back where we started from, perhaps a little higher today. Didn't see where the markets ended up. But I didn't hear any of the Republicans stepping up and giving, whatever policies they're blaming for Kamala last week. Shouldn't they be crediting her this week?
Doesn't work like that in
politics, it doesn't work like that. So forgive me if I don't buy the BS that people like Hovde are out there shoveling. Some of the other topics, Kurt, according to Jessie, U.S.-Mexico border. I call it a rotten onion. The rotten onion, Krudy. The reason I call it a rotten onion is because, like an onion, there's many layers to this open border. Or like an ogre.
Let me just say, as a man who's diagnosed some terrible analogies out of you through the years, Dom, this one's really bad. What the hell does rotten onion with the many layers have to do with the open border? Well, based on your oversimplistic characterization, which is, of course, also false, of an open border, isn't that the oversimplified version? Isn't that the broad stroke? Joe Biden's got open borders.
Right.
Meaning what? People come in, but many of them are actually stopped in the border. They're, quote unquote, released for till they go to asylum court, are they not?
Yes, like
Well-
Hannibal Lecter. Come on, you know what I'm saying? No,
But I'm just saying, is open borders not clear enough for you? You've got to weave in the rotten onion
It's a rotten
analogy,
onion.
which doesn't make any sense to me, Dom. I'm just saying, maybe I'm not Republican enough.
Just listen, he's a rich man. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry your poor little pocketbook over it. As Jesse writes, U.S. Customs and Border Protection has reported about 10 million nationwide encounters with removable non-citizens since 2021. The Department of Homeland Security defines an encounter, quote unquote, as any encounter of a removable non-citizen by the CBP or Border Patrol. The legal immigration, however, Hovde said, is an absolute farce, too difficult, and should be fixed.
That
Our
part's
legal
true.
immigration process is fundamentally broken, so we've got to fix that, and we've got to close the illegal immigration process. Close the illegal immigration process. Not quite sure what that
the
means.
rotten onion layers,
Oh,
Dom.
right,
It's
right.
so
We're gonna
clear when you put
close-
it like that.
I mean, when you act like there's a process to it. And interesting point, and I don't know if mayors got to it with Hovde, but what about the bill? I mean, there's a bipartisan bill that came out of the Senate, right? Very conservative senators worked with their counterparts across the aisle, came up with a bill. And what happened? Well, they give it to the House, right? Nope, can't do that. Donald Trump wanted to kill that bill. And so they did. They didn't bring it up. There's nothing there because Donald Trump wants the issue. And my understanding, those
Hovde-
encounters have also gone down here recently.
Well, Dom, but Hovde accepted the Trump endorsement. Can't call the old man out like that. He'll rescind his endorsement and you'll lose by 20% instead of 10%, Hovde. It's going to be a really sad night when this guy loses. Rich guys don't like to lose, do they, Dom?
Well, he never
Trump
loses.
didn't handle it well. Tim Michaels didn't handle it very well.
and
I don't
Hovde,
suspect that Hovde will either.
he'll be like, man, this election integrity is like a rotten onion or a watermelon or a tomato.
I wish I had my produce back.
He
See
also
what I
has some
did
comment
there?
on abortion. We will get to that. We will get to your calls as well. I look forward to you joining us today. It's kind of our Friday show. Air the grievances. We're not working tomorrow. You're going to hear the greatest radio show, non-live version, but today is your opportunity. Hit us up, 844-967-2789. More on senatorial candidate Eric Hovde from Wisconsin.
Dom, this song, a long distance dedication going out to my mailman, Matt from Middleton. He calls the show. He says he's a fan.
Oh,
He
nice.
said, "Are you Mike Crute from the Devil's Advocates?" He's holding my mail. I'm thinking, I am, man. You see the two devils on the license plate. I don't really hide. Should have hidden better. We hide in plain sight. No one will find us here.
Yeah.
More Devil's Advocates.
Wait a minute.
WMDX, Madison's home for the John and Gordy Show.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
Who is the toughest billionaire? I'm pretty sure I could take Warren Buffett. He's like 94. Elon Musk is the richest guy in the world. He's got like 200 billion bucks. Then Jeff Bezos.
I don't know how Jeff would fight.
What about Mark Zuckerberg?
No, that guy.
I'll say Bill Gates. He would probably take a dive.
Isn't Michael Jordan a billionaire now?
Okay, I would take Michael Jordan.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights 7 till 9 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app. Matt Nair on air.
We were talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump. He also said that he knows how to correctly pronounce Kamala Harris's name. He just chooses not to. And so I think that kind of opens it up for us to take some liberties.
Yeah. What would be your fix to the name?
Dave from New Berlin texting in Connell.
Donald.
Dump. Also, Calvin's was Donald Trump.
Who said there's a correct one?
Matt Nair Civic Media app.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
It's easy to listen to your favorite local radio station anytime. Download the Civic Media app from the Apple or Google Play Store, then listen live or whenever you want from anywhere for free. You are never far away from your favorite radio station. We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. And if you missed your favorite show or game, listen to a podcast of it anytime on the app or our website, civicmedia.us. You're listening.
The Devil's Advocates. So relevant, they have one foot in tomorrow.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Join us on the lines. Talk or text 844-967-2789.
Dom, before we go back to the fine reporting, Jesse Apoyan at the Journal-Sentinel, we do have the actual sound of Hudvy on one topic, Dom, abortion. And she does have some reporting, but I think our quote is a little different than what she's reporting. I don't question the accuracy, just the brevity. Perhaps we need to add a little context. This will not clarify anything, my understanding. But Hudvy tries to explain that abortions now happen through the morning after pill. And that's not an abortion. But he would like to construe it to be, because that would mean what? Life begins at conception. Let's see if it's clarifying when candidate Hudvy from Laguna Beach, let's see if it's clarifying. Play it for the people, Rich.
So you're okay with various states having various laws, and if a woman needs an abortion and her state doesn't provide it, then she'd have to travel for the abortion.
Well, okay, let's be honest on that. The vast majority of abortions today are done through the day after pill. So the reality is most abortions are handled and you're getting medication delivered online.
And you're okay with the preservation of the use of the pill,
Well, look, you're not changing that. We can all talk in theory. Let's just talk in reality.
What?
You're not changing that. That pill will be around, and just like hard narcotics transfer from state to state or from other countries into our countries, medications move all over our country, and that's just reality.
Well, so he's comparing a legal morning after pill, quote unquote, not day after pill, number one, with illegal narcotics. My impression there, my takeaway is that he's categorizing this as an illegal narcotic, i.e. illegal. And he did not answer the travel question. The travel. You okay with women having to travel for an abortion? Did not address that at all. Well, let's talk in reality. No one's going after that. No one's changing that. That being the morning after pill, which he then subsequently compares to illegal narcotics trafficking. Well, what, dude? I mean, if anything, it gives clarity, I guess, that he would like to see the morning after pill regulated like illegal hard narcotics.
And my understanding is there is a Republican effort afoot to make it illegal to transport birth control or the morning after pill utilizing the U.S. mails. Mifepristone, that case just came up before the courts recently. And Eric Hudvy, you can act like the courts have never rejected prior precedent, but there's a little bit of history, a little
recent
precedent
history.
that they will.
Perhaps, something that's motivating lots of people in this election cycle. Great, terrible, ignorant, non-answer answer, Hudvy.
Well, according to Jesse Apoyan's reporting, again, the Journal-Sentinel, she quotes Hovde. I believe we Wisconsinites, see, tries to cast himself with us, Dom,
Yeah, I see that.
need to resolve this issue with a common sense and compassionate approach to women that is in the tough spot. How do we do that? I think we do it through a referendum. The Rojo answer, a non-binding referendum, which doesn't mean anything. Hovde said, noting that he has 2 daughters and 3 grandchildren. Hovde said he wants to see less abortions, but has always agreed with exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I'm not clear that that was your stance in 2012, sir. And, again, Jesse quoting candidate Hovde here, and I agree that early on in a woman's pregnancy, she should have the right to choose. But there comes a point where a baby can be born healthy and alive, and it's unconscionable thinking of terminating that child's life. He declined to say how many weeks that should be, but pointed to countries that ban abortion somewhere in the first trimester or in the very beginning of the second trimester. He also pushed back on the idea that a national abortion ban could be enacted. During his 2012 campaign, and I bet you Jesse actually did a little journalism here, Dom, Hovde said he was, and this is my memory as well, because I've read the prior reporting of Hovde's stances on abortion, in 2012, totally opposed to abortion.
Totally. Opposed.
That sounds like a totality. Like, totally. Like,
totally meaning there's no wiggle room. Totally.
I didn't hear him say totally opposed to abortion with these exceptions.
No, right.
No caveats.
Nope.
In a Wisconsin State Journal candidate questionnaire at the time, he said, I am pro-life. I oppose legalized abortion. I believe contraception should be legal. Well, are you sure you understand how the morning after pill works?
I'm not sure that he does. I mean, he's a rich, older white man trying to mansplain himself to Jeff Mayers very ignorantly.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about how much money he's willing to commit to backing himself down.
Crute, he doesn't know how much he'll spend. The quote, again, from Jesse Poyen, quoting Hovde, I've made a commitment, but there's no way I'm going to be able to even come close to funding what Baldwin's supporters are putting in, Hovde said. According to financial
disclosures. Do you have no supporters, sir?
According to financial disclosures filed last month, Hovde listed assets worth between $195 million and $564 million, much of it Madison and Milwaukee real estate holdings, corporate securities, and stock in SunWest Bank. If he's elected, he would be among the wealthiest members of the Senate. He has plowed $5 million of his own resources into his campaign in the second quarter, according to filings. Baldwin raised about $7.5 million in that period. He doesn't know how much he's going to put in, Crute, but no matter what you do, man, you can't get it back.
It's interesting. According to the Democratic Party, they did the math, like when people do the math. Hovde bled like 75,000 Republican votes in the primary, despite outspending his opponents 450-1. And he still lost over 10% of the vote, closer to 15%. What a great investment you've made in yourself, Eric. When you lose to Tammy Baldwin, there'll be no refunds. You can sue and sue, but no one's giving you your money back, sir. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. It's free. Costs you nothing. Can't sue us, Eric Hovde.
Civic Media Radio station or the Civic Media app.
Some of our Wisconsin corn mazes are getting ready for a little football. I'm Pam Yankee with a quick update on what's happening in food and farming news on a Thursday. That's right. They are working cooperation with the Wisconsin Ag Tourism Association to try to draw attention to the fact that Wisconsin's getting ready to host the draft come 2025. Sheila Everhart, Executive Director of the Wisconsin Ag Tourism Association, says they're highlighting 4 corn mazes with a draft theme And these were specifically hand-selected. Actually, there are 4, and like I mentioned, they are Farm Bureau members, Wisconsin Farm Bureau Federation members, and Wisconsin Agricultural Tourism Association members, and they were selected based on their locale. The locale for these farms are Chilton, Wisconsin, Ripon, Wisconsin, Bonduel, Wisconsin, and the Stevens Point, Plover, Wisconsin area. Sheila Everhart, Executive Director of the Wisconsin Ag Tourism Association. Aside from the fall corn mazes that will be featured starting September 7th, Everhart said they'll also be capitalizing on their QR code that will be available to visitors coming into Wisconsin for the draft at all of our Wisconsin Visitor Centers.
Learn how to benefit your farm with Compeer Financial's Navigating Tech Investments Agri-Mindset webinar on August 21st at 1 o'clock. Sign up online at compeer.com/register for this powerful webinar to benefit your farm on August 21st at 1 o'clock. Go to compeer.com/register now to get the most out of your farm's tech investments on August 21st. Compeer Financial is a full credit opportunity lender and provider. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved.
Beef producers, make plans now to attend the Stockmanship and Stewardship event in Lancaster on August 28th and 29th. This will be an action-packed agenda featuring topics from cattle health and well-being to pasture management and land stewardship, complemented by low-stress cattle handling demonstrations. From cow-calf to feedlot topics, it's covered and close to home. Go to www.stockmanshipandstewardship.org for more details and to register.
And the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources reminding folks today is the day. You need to find and confirm a hunt location if you're going to participate in the gun deer hunt for hunters with disabilities. According to the DNR, they've got literally thousands of acres of land available for this year's hunt, which will happen October 5th through the 13th. But hunters need to contact sponsors directly to participate in that October hunt. You need to contact and confirm a location with a hunt landowner if you want to participate in the gun deer hunt for hunters with disabilities. Take care of that business before the end of the day today. That's a look at food news on a Thursday. I'm Pam Yankee.
This is your hometown radio, refreshed, keeping you informed, entertained, and connected locally across the Civic Media Network.
Showers and thunderstorms will roll through the area at times. With periods of moderate to heavy rainfall expected, we could see some localized flash flooding. While the risk for severe weather is low, a few strong thunderstorms could produce some small hail, gusty winds, and torrential downpours. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 71 degrees.
It's summertime in Wisconsin, and whatever the weather, it will impact you and your plans.
Should I water the garden? Will our event be rained out? Count on your local Civic Media radio station for in-depth details and the most up-to-date forecast.
Temperatures are rising into the mid and upper 70s under sunny skies.
It's your weather and more for your part of Wisconsin.
On your local Civic Media radio station and streaming on the Civic Media app.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, Honey Bear.
Because remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Todd Albaugh.
Hey, everybody, join us next time as Luke Mathers is in the guest host chair and our replay of a great interview with Kelly Call and Sean Hamish of the new film, Just a Bit Outside.
California. The Devil's Advocates, rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Thursday edition. Eric Hudvey made a trip from California to Wisconsin, apparently, Dom, to appear at a WisPolitics event. You know, I hear he campaigns in this state occasionally. the Democratic Party, I've got a brief statement from them, and I understand some new reporting. We touched on that topic yesterday, Dom.
Yeah.
I think we could hammer it again today.
There's a little more meat on the bone today.
Underwhelming primary performance from underwhelming Eric Hudvey. Hudvey outspent GOP opponents 450-1 and still lost 75,000 votes. Last night, this came out a day or so ago. Obviously, the election was Tuesday. Last night, Eric Hudvey, whose Republican operatives have referred to as underwhelming, and who Congressman Glenn Grothman said was running a terrible campaign, lived up to his moniker and had an underwhelming performance in the GOP primary, losing more than 75,000 votes. 75,000 GOP votes. So of the total, I mean, he had a couple of no-name opponents in the race, Dom, and they drew 75,000 votes away from the top of the ticket.
The barman's got a name. Say his name, barman.
Hudvey faced nominal barman opposition. That's you, barman. Opposition in the GOP primary, outspending his GOP primary opponents 450-1, including, now this is a bigger number alleged by the Wisdems, 13 million of his own money, but Hudvey lost more than 1 in every 10 GOP primary voters last night and came in well under 90%. I thought it was like 86%. That's not a great showing. That's a Trump-like showing in the primaries after Nikki Haley dropped out. As Hudvey continues to underwhelm national Republicans and his unfavorables continue to go up and up and up, it's no surprise that even tens of thousands of GOP primary voters are rejecting an out-of-touch California bank owner who insults every Wisconsinite between Kenosha and Superior. Overall, it was a rough night for Republicans as both the GOP-backed referendums were defeated and their hand-picked California bank owner Senate candidate was rejected by tens of thousands of their votes. Well said, Dem Party of Wisconsin. And less well said by Eric Hudvey, again being called out for his this guy's just not a good candidate, Dom. I mean, it goes a little beyond inarticulate. You know, some of these are core beliefs or he wouldn't express them.
Well, I mean, he's been interfacing with, Wisconsinites for many, many, many months now. And this, he thinks he knows, man. He's got a good beat on what's going on. Callers, be patient. We'll get you momentarily. 844-967-2789. We talked about this yesterday and some further reporting from Jesse Bice and Andrea over at the Journal Sentinel. Hudvey accusing Obama of stoking maximum anger over race before elections. I don't want to be redundant, but maybe you didn't hear it, and there's some more to it. And here's what they said. Republican Senate Hudvey was accused former President Obama of using police shootings involving black men to stoke maximum anger. This all started with Obama, Hudvey said, as he accused Democrats of trying to divide the country over race. Obama ran on hope and change and bringing us together, and then he used race as a tool and a weapon. And he said he would fix 6 months before he would find, using race as a tool and a weapon, and he would find 6 months before any election some incident between the police and typically a young black man, and then they would whip it up to create anger in the black community. Hudvey was speaking on the conservative podcaster Chris Salcido's show Tuesday, referenced Freddie Gray, Michael Brown, and Trayvon Martin, who were fatally shot. The quote continues from Hudvey. It was always an incident sometime in May or June because it was about 6 months out so they could get maximum anger generated. So their whole way they drive their agenda is through anger and division. I mean, a little projection, megas. Now, Obama, after Brown's death in 2014, urged the country to, quote, talk with one another in a way that heals, not in a way that wounds. Obama went on to say, I know the events of the past few days have prompted strong passions, but as details unfold, I urge everyone in Ferguson, Missouri, and across the country to remember this young man through reflection and understanding. Now, the comments came as Hudvey and Salcido spoke about diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI initiatives a main target for Republicans. The incompetence that has existed with the Biden administration is absolutely stunning. And Vice President Harris is all part of it, Hubdy said when he asked how he would address DEI. In fact, they're being foisted on their own petard because, remember, they said they had to have a black woman as vice president. Baldwin's campaign slammed the comments, quote, "What Eric Hovde said was not only disgusting, but disrespectful to these men and their families." Hovde's campaign did not respond to questions.
Just finding some martyred black kid for the cause, send him out there to die in May or June, plan it that way. Just what I don't understand is how does he find the right cops in this scenario?
Right.
Obama. How does Obama convince the cops to use excessive force or to kill this young black martyr that apparently has been chosen from the young black martyrs list?
Yeah, it's all part of the plan, man.
But how does he convince the cops to use the unnecessary force, the deadly force often? How did Obama trick the white cops into killing the black kid, according to the theory espoused by candidate Hovde?
I mean, it's just terrible.
I mean, that's some damn good conspiracy.
You know what I mean? And again,
it would take a real effort, would it not, to actually, if you thought about this, let's use logic, let's say, and thought about this, how would one pull off this conspiracy, candidate Hovde? Of course, it's implausible. Let's just say, let's leave a shred of possibility and just call it implausible.
It's not implausible. It's impossible. It's asinine. And frankly, I think what are the origins of this? Is it racism? Is it ignorance? You know what I mean? I mean, this guy's saying
Could
that.
it be both? Doesn't most racism stem from ignorance?
Perhaps. And to say that, you know, it was Obama that was driving their agenda through anger and division. I mean, what would you say that the Republicans and the MAGAs driving forces? Is it joy and camaraderie? Hell no, man. It's grievance, right? It's hatred. It's anger. It's division. That's the whole point. Scott Walker, former governor from Wisconsin, he divide and conquer. I mean, they literally say it in their philosophy, in their strategy for political power. So what, dude? I mean, literally, what the hell are you talking about? Before your day after pill and Obama using race as a weapon and what? And paying? I mean, how would Obama influence the cops to shoot the young black kids and young black men? And how would he select the young black men to take one for the team? I'm just really wondering. I mean, how did this all go down? It's very, very strange. Very weird.
We had to find congressional candidate on yesterday, Rebecca Cook. And I took note of the fact, maybe you got to lose one to win one. And in this case, it would be the primary. Perhaps there's a parallel so far between Cook losing 2 years ago and then turning around and winning the primary and becoming the Democratic nominee. Well, let's not forget, Hovde ran back in 2012 and he finished second to Tommy Thompson. And back then he was against all abortion, Tom, totality. Now, exceptions for rape and incest. So, you know, that's the maturation of the candidate.
And apparently, he's come around, according to the reporting from Jesse at the Journal Sentinel, that, you know, within the first, you know, beginnings of a woman's pregnancy, she should have that option apparently as well. But he didn't get into, you know, the actual time frame. I mean, hey, listen, people can evolve on their stance, but what is a non-binding referendum on abortion? We've done the polling. We know what the polls say, man. You know what the people think. You know, you didn't have your red wave in part because of the Dobbs decision.
Yeah, but Ron Johnson won re-election. And what was Ron's tactic? A, deflect. Mike. Dom. Wouldn't answer any straightforward questions. But on the topic of abortion, well, we should hear it from the people. Let's ask the people. Let's do a non-binding referendum. Because that's a great way to not answer a straightforward question, right? Well, what's my opinion matter? Well, certainly, sir, you're amongst those in the case of Ron Johnson. Hell, you campaigned on keeping Merrick Garland off the U.S. Supreme Court. right?
Yes.
So you can't now say, well, I don't have any strong opinions. Of course, that's just a political triangulation. And the question is can Eric Hudvey use the same tired argument that Ron Johnson can? I mean, I hate to say it, but Ron's a better candidate. Ron says some dumbass stuff, but Ron's better at it.
I mean, I guess. Oh, I mean, Ron's actually won election, so
Couple
there's some truth to
times.
that. 844-967-2789. Let's get to some phones. It's like a Friday up in here.
Couple
2-3 times. Dick from Madison, welcome to the Devil's Advocates. Dick, what do you got for us?
Oh my God, I love that. Ron's better at dumb. Give Bobby some credit. He's evolving. I mean, he's kind of like Cro-Magnon Man. He evolves. But I wanted to say something too. One of my favorite regular callers is L.A. Tom, okay? And he always opens with, So from now on, I'm going to open with the same thing because of what I brought up yesterday. Because, as you know, Crute, in sales, repetition is everything. So are you guys going to be covering Deadbeat Don's lie conference later?
I haven't decided, man. I really depends on how good a quality of callers we get. Right now, it's been a coin flip with you, Dick.
No. Well, listen.
I mean, for the record, Dick, Trump is speaking as we speak. He's on right now. No, we're not going there right now.
The golf course press conference.
He's at Bedminster.
He's not on MSNBC like he was the other day, but I think the reason he's doing this is because he is deadbeat Donald. He can't go to 12 states, and these are the pivotal states because he's, repeat after me, deadbeat Donald. He can't go there until he pays up. So he has to have this kind of ridiculous stuff.
I understand, and I don't know, I haven't independently verified this, but my understanding, before Trump could hold his rally in Asheville, the local municipality made him pay $82,400 cash.
That's what I understand too.
Up front,
before you come in. And I've heard that several other places he's been that he's deadbeat. Are doing the same thing.
They call that something. I remember from all the late night commercials, Dick. That's called COD. You know what I'm saying? That's COD, man. The guy's got no credit. He's been owing money everywhere he goes, dude.
Yeah. And it's just, well, whatever. We'll see. I was kind of looking forward to it because I know there'll be some laugh lines out of it.
Well, you'll have to watch him on the late night shows, Dick, because we ain't laughing along, not in real time. We respect you, our audience, too much. Although we've done it to you before, but that wasn't our intent today. But now that Dick brings it up, no, still probably no. We were so positive yesterday. Yesterday was a yes kind of day. But sorry,
are we back to no? We're back to no? All right.
If the question is, are we taking Trump's ramblings or are we taking CJ's ramblings? The answer is probably no.
No. Let's not do that. Let's take more calls from our audience. 844
if you're not CJ,
967-2789. It's easy.
Or Donald Trump. We'll take your call.
Sacramento, where you at? Throw it up, y'all. Throw it up. I can't see ya. Let's show these fools how we do it on this west side. Cause you and I know it's the best side. Yeah. That's right. West Coast. California love. Yeah.
To Mad Radio, WMDX, Madison's home for the Todd Alba Show.
The Todd Alba Show.
Chairman of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, Ben Wickler. No, I was involved in politics for 30 plus years. I've never seen anything in the state of Wisconsin like I saw in Eau Claire last week. 2 miles away from the venue, and there were cars parked alongside the roads.
It's not just cities, it's rural places and small towns and medium-sized towns. It's everything. Voters realize in this moment they have the power to shape history.
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on
children on what they needed, whether that be universal meals or whether that be, record amounts for a state to invest in early childhood development. I am like, man, you are critiquing this guy and making him even more my hero.
Busted Pencils with Dr. Tim and Dr. Johnny. Weeknights at 6 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
That first time seeing my son, I feel like my life did a 180. He really a definition of like why he loves somebody.
Through all of fatherhood's first, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Fear you may be missing out? We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. Enjoy listening live or catch up by finding the podcast at civicmedia.us or wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts.
%60 of the time, they're right every time. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines open. Go in there shortly. Talk or text. They both work. It's the same number, 844-967-2789.
Dom, we've been watching Trump at Bedminster at his golf course doing a press conference to cheering, adoring fans. So, apparently they're letting the members attend the press conference because there's like a peanut gallery. And the other thing there is, to Trump's right, there's a table, and it's got like a blue dollhouse on it, and it's got a bunch of groceries, including a condiments package with ketchup, mustard,
Oh, he'll be
and
throwing
mayo,
that.
Dom.
Man.
And then I thought I saw, I'm pretty sure there's Oreos on the table. So apparently Trump's favorite foods, and when I say favorites, there's no fresh produce. These are all packaged, super processed foods. And Trump is bemoaning the fact that, inflation has run rampant. Can't get cheap Oreos anymore on the open market. Should get a Costco membership, Trump. But it's odd. Just the visual aids, the ketchup, the mustard, the dollhouse, the Oreos. Yesterday he had the mini Tic Tacs. And today he's got a whole accoutrement of goods to point at and hold up. I can't wait till he starts throwing bounty paper towels to the members, Dom, like he did in Puerto Rico. Really
Shooting.
helping out the people.
Working on his jump shot, man.
844-967-2789. I'm not sure what the purpose of this is, but if you're trying to convince people it's a press conference, don't have a cheering gallery. You don't do that at a press conference, typically. Jack from Merrimack, welcome. What do you got for us, Jack?
Hey, Jack.
Well, two things. First of all, for Humpty or any Republican to accuse Obama or any Democrat of using fear and hate and anger to influence voters is not only hypocritical, but they've obviously learned a lesson well from an old guy by the name of Joseph Goebbels, who was Hitler's minister of propaganda, and his guiding principle was accuse the other side of that of which you are guilty. And the second thing that I wanted to say is that Obama, why do these people keep bringing up Obama? Obama hasn't campaigned for over a decade. How is that even close to relevant regarding his campaign for Senate now? I mean, these guys are they're nuts.
Well, he's
end of rant.
He's playing the hits from the last time he ran in 2012, don't forget. It's like Trump. They've only got one playlist. They've all moved into Fat Elvis time frame.
Ah, yes.
All right, Jack. Thanks for the call.
Jack.
Appreciate it. 844-967-2789. Kevin from Madison. You're next. Welcome, Kevin. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I was just going to say, now that Hovey's got his wife doing radio or commercials, trying to convince us that he's Mother Teresa, the only thing that guy's interested in is preserving the Trump tax cuts that are going to for wealthy people that are going to expire in 2025. If he's elected to the U.S. Senate, he'll be if not the wealthiest, one of the wealthiest guys. And you think he runs around with people that are worried about taxes? Of course he is. The rich need to get richer, and Hovey's going to do it for them.
Well, Kevin, I think
Can't
there's
elect that
very
guy.
little chance that he's going to win election in the state of Wisconsin. I don't see it happening, man. There's nothing appealing about this guy. Tammy Baldwin is of the people, and this guy's of the rich guy tax cut and Laguna Beach. He's certainly not of us. He doesn't feel like a Wisconsinite, Kevin. He probably doesn't own a flannel shirt, dude.
All right, thanks. Listen, you're
be well, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, Kevin. 844-967-2789. According to Rich, there's some Johnsonville sausage on the table next to him. All right, man. Summertime. Get some brats out.
Now, do you think Trump knows you got to cook those things before you eat them? Someone should tell him. He could get that Kennedy tapeworm in the brain. It'd be a terrible thing.
You think the guy's ever turned a grill on?
Trump?
Yeah.
No.
Never got the charcoal and got his hands dirty.
I don't think he's ever changed a baby's diaper. I don't think he's, maybe one of his own, depends. Little assistance to the assistant, but I don't think he's ever changed a baby's diaper. I don't think he's ever fired up the grill and cooked some Johnsonville brats. I don't think most of the stuff that we would perceive is like stuff that Wisconsinites do. I don't know if Hudvey's ever fired up the grill, Dom. And I don't believe that Ron Johnson ever changed that baby's diaper. He told us after the election that famous campaign ad where Ron Johnson was getting the golden shower from his grandson. We found out fake pee. That wasn't real.
Yeah, well,
not like Trump at the Four Seasons in Moscow.
Allegedly.
Folks, we're the Devil's Advocates. We promise less Johnsonville brats, less Donald Trump, and more polling, which would seem to suggest Trump's losing. And he's not really very good at, what is this? Some sort of message on the economy? That was what he was supposed to give in Asheville yesterday. And he said, I don't like this. People don't care about the economy.
But now he's out there today talking about the economy. Is this like a redo? Do you get redos, man?
Corey Lewandowski has. Did you hear?
Oh,
He's the newest hire of the Trump campaign.
Tag team back again, man. Getting the band back together, going on tour. I mean, talk about playing the hits. Lewandowski. Oh, my.
Where's Paul Manafort when you need him? And Bannon. Can we get Bannon out of federal prison in time to be the Trump campaign manager?
I don't know.
Come back with
It'll
us.
be close.
We're Devil's Advocates. I hear Kellyanne Conway's available. More Devil's Advocates, a happy hour, and more of your phone calls. Friday style. We know it's not Friday, but we're playing it that way. 844-96-PARTY.
Weekday mornings 6 until 8 on Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX. Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
I'm sitting in the theater, Conrad. I'm alone. A couple walks in. Where do you think they sat?
Right in front of you.
Right in front of me. You moron. How can you spatial awareness? My goodness. Next day, go to this bathroom. There's like 7-year-olds. I'm all the way down in the end. Where do you think this person came in? Not right next to me, but enough where it was weird.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights 7 till 9 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app. You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram. You're listening to Mad Radio, WMDX 1580 AM Columbus, W224EG Madison, and always streaming on the Civic Media app.
Michelle Franzen. Efforts to lower prescription drug costs clearing a major hurdle. President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris at a joint event today announcing the U.S. for the first time can negotiate with Medicare to lower costs, starting with 10 common but costly drugs used to treat diabetes, arthritis, heart disease, and more. Here's Harris.
Medicare was prohibited by law from negotiating lower drug prices. And those costs then got passed on to our seniors. But not anymore.
The program slated to begin in January 2026. Former President Trump set to address the press this afternoon. He's at his golf club in New Jersey. Detroit Judge Kenneth King, who ordered a team to be handcuffed and wear jail clothes on a field trip to his courtroom, is off the bench. The court's chief judge says to receive necessary training. The 15-year-old had fallen asleep during that field trip. This is ABC News.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. 1 in 4 voters in Wisconsin cast a ballot Tuesday. The Wisconsin Elections Commission says 26% is the highest turnout for a fall primary election in 60 years. 1.2 million people voted on each of 2 proposed amendments to the state constitution. Republican U.S. Senate candidate Eric Hovde is still declining to talk about the extent of his wealth.
I'm not going to get into that question. Why not? Why would I?
Hovde's recent financial disclosure says he's worth about $500 million. Democrats say it matters whether Hovde sells his holdings in SunWest Bank.
They need to know what kind of influence that those that have money in that bank are going to ultimately have over the decisions he makes in the Senate.
State Representative Tip McGuire speaking for the Tammy Baldwin campaign. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Here's what you need to know closer to home.
This is news from WMDX Madison. I'm Savannah Tomei-Olson. Police departments across Dane County are seeing an increase in modified guns. Madison police told WKOW they see 3D printed gun parts on a regular basis these days. And just a couple years ago, they had no idea what they were. Anybody with access to the internet can figure out how to make them. Sometimes they can 3D print an entire gun. That means these guns and parts cannot be traced, creating lots of challenges for local authorities. And historic turnout. This primary had the highest voter turnout in the Madison area in decades. More than 83,000 Madisonians voted Tuesday or sent in an absentee ballot. That's 45% of registered voters. According to City Clerk Mary Beth Witzel-Bell, it's the highest voter turnout in a primary since 1984. Certainly the race for Dane County Executive, some races without Republican challengers in November, and the proposed constitutional amendments contributed to that. And that's what you need to know. I'm Savannah Tomei-Olson, and this is WMDX News.
The Packers head to Denver. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Packers have a joint practice tomorrow with the Broncos, then a preseason game Sunday night. Tight end Tugger Kraft now back on the field after suffering that torn pectoral muscle in the team weight room last April. Yesterday, Kraft took out rookie safety Javon Bullard in a big downfield block.
That was just a play where things just went my way. You don't always, sometimes you got to improvise when you're out there on the field. It was like a homecoming play.
Baseball, the Brewers with a 5-4 win over the Dodgers last night in Milwaukee. After the game, manager Pat Murphy praised the Brewers' starting pitcher Frankie Montas, picked up in that trade with the Reds.
Montas, let's not forget this guy. Him and William navigated 5 innings and 100-plus pitches, but the guy's stuff was great, and the guts he showed staying in there. I mean, Frankie Montas, for me, that's a memory for a long time. Much needed, and he stepped up.
As Brewers manager Pat Murphy. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. A few showers possible this evening, mostly cloudy overnight. Low mid-60s. For tomorrow, more clouds, a few storms again popping up. High tomorrow around 80. Partly sunny and upper 70s for Saturday. Low 80s and mostly sunny Sunday. Currently at 72 degrees.
Ever try balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot? Or maybe juggling cats while riding a unicycle? Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel, give driving your undivided attention.
Don't drive distracted. A message
brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The Todd Alba Show.
Speaking of JD Vance, if you're watching on the stream, you can see behind me what we're now calling the JD Vance couch. There are some reports that back in the day, during the frat days of JD Vance, he may have gotten intimate with a couch.
You know, I've slept on that couch a few times, but I can't say I've slept with that couch, and nor do I plan to.
No. The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. Maggie Dawn.
It's Friday, y'all. We're talking education policy and everything that the Biden-Harris administration has gotten done for our young people who are indeed our future.
The Maggie Dawn Show. Weekday afternoons at 2.
Mad Radio.
The Devil's Advocates radio show is broadcast under a time brokerage agreement between Devil Radio and Civic Media Inc. Some portions of this program may be pre-recorded. Warning, you're about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Civic Media Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
And now, here's your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the Thursday edition, clearing the decks, Dom, for the DNC next week. No live show tomorrow, but one of the finest best ofs ever. You'll tune in.
Ever.
But I find myself watching the former president live at a air quotes press conference in Bedminster, New Jersey, at a golf course with a peanut gallery of raving fans. I don't see him actually answering any questions, more just a
not
rambling
yet.
speech.
He's apparently a very long opening statement, and this was labeled as a press conference. And to my understanding, he has not taken one single question yet.
Well, he doesn't even have a teleprompter today, more of a binder. He showed up with a binder, a speech in a binder, and of course he can't stay on script. So he's talking about everything from failed policies of Obama and George W. Bush. I mean, is this the campaign's effort to make this man more disciplined? Because he's fighting against demons you ain't even running against, dude. You know what I mean? When you're talking about presidents from 24 years ago, you're sort of off track.
He loves the 80s, though, man. That was his heyday.
Some of the things he has said in the last few minutes, called Kamala Harris a communist. That's a new line of attack, but you saw it coming. He's
of
been
course.
working up socialist, Marxist. Now she's a full-blown communist.
Of course she is.
And something interesting that Trump would attribute to Kamala Harris. She will lead to the death of the American dream. And of course, we know you already killed the American dream.
He declared it.
That
he said
twice.
He made it so obvious. I mean, we were there. We heard it come out of his mouth. The American dream is dead.
He said it during his nomination acceptance speech in Cleveland. Hell, he said it at the inauguration. We were in the room, well, open air in the second case, but we were there both times. You said it publicly. This was your campaign, and then it was your glorious victory speech. The American dream is dead.
So how then, if the American dream is dead, it was dead or at least killed by or dead by the time, Trump got there, did he revive the American dream? And now she's going to kill it? I guess I'm not clear how you can kill something dead twice. Because the dead, as far as I know, the dead don't die.
Have you seen Game of Thrones or Pet Sematary?
Yeah.
Because
the ground up there, the ground's sour. Ground turns sour.
Dominic, so we'll set aside the Trump. We're not going to play the Trump for you. But you know who is campaigning today out there with Kamala Harris? President Joe Biden. And he's having a little fun. He's being a little mischievous on the stump. We're going to save some of the Joe Biden sound for the next hour, Dom. But we've been trying to work in a conversation about the polling and the fact that Donald Trump cannot even do what his own campaign is begging him to do, which is just read the script in front of you.
Yeah, but Donald Trump cannot help being Donald Trump, man. And no one's going to make him.
Well, now that he is aware he's got a peanut gallery, now he's got the crowd hooting and hollering at him. It sort of undermines this whole false press conference because, of course, press conference implies you're actually going to answer some questions. He's not doing that. But it also would...
Well, at least take the question. You know what I mean? Guy's going to say what he's going to say, but at least take a question.
Do you think the crowd will start booing if they don't? Oh, very nasty question.
Very nasty news. You're terrible. You're horrible. Terrible, nasty.
As most politicians do, he brought his own cheering section to the press conference. Frank Luntz, we've seen this guy. If you ever turned on Fox News, he's a frequent flyer there. Trump is committing political suicide as Harris seizes the intensity advantage. Now, he continues to go out there and try to express that Donald Trump is burning it down, and he should not. I mean, Luntz is a Republican pollster. He's rooting for the guy in some way, shape, or form. Here is what The Hill is reporting. Longtime GOP pollster Frank Luntz said in a Wednesday interview that he is seeing a broad shift in the 2024 polls towards Vice President Harris as she rides her intensity advantage, and as former President Donald Trump increasingly commits, as he describes it, political suicide, Dom. Oh, yeah, keep it going. Keep her burning. Burn, baby, burn. He's starting his own fire. Now, Luntz said Harris's recent enthusiasm boost has tapped into part of the electorate that might not have otherwise voted in November had President Biden remained the party's nominee. I have no doubt she's energized not just the base, but new supporters. And he, Luntz, predicted that could have a down ballot effect, speaking in an interview to CNBC Squawk Box. Here are a couple of the quotes, and we do have some sound. We'll play it in just a moment, but a couple of the interesting observations of pollster Luntz. She's bringing out people who are not interested in voting for either Trump or Biden. So the entire electoral pool has changed. And if it continues in this direction, you have to start considering Democrats winning the Senate and Democrats winning the House. Yeah, I can smell a blue wave. The actual people who are participating, she's got intensity now. She's got an intensity advantage. She's got a demographic advantage. And I haven't seen anything like this happen in 30 days in my lifetime. Asked how significant the margin of extra Harris voters might be to the overall electoral pool, Luntz said 1%, maybe 2%. That's it. But that's enough, right? We've got margins of like 21,000 votes in the state of Wisconsin that separated Trump over Hillary Clinton and then Biden over Trump. That is a minuscule percentage relative to the over 3 million votes cast in the state of Wisconsin each presidential year. Now, Luntz suggested that there are 3 components, attributes, issues, and conditions of the country that build a candidate's support, adding, you shift the demographics and you shift the entire outcome. The issues and conditions, according to Luntz, favor Donald Trump. He should be winning this election, but the attributes are so much in Harris's favor that he's not.
And I'm not clear, and I get Luntz. Remember, Luntz was rooming with Kevin McCarthy back in 21, right? So consider the source. The Republican pollster says the issues and conditions favor Donald Trump. Well, we talked about California. Wisconsin senatorial candidate Hovde, talking about the economy and inflation, as mentioned. It's going down. GDP has been solid. Look at the market. I mean, if you're in it, look at the market. Certainly there are some spots, but I would challenge Luntz's assertion.
Well, here's another interesting assertion he makes. I'm trying to do a focus group tonight with undecided voters under the age of 27 for a major news outlet. That's Fox. And I can't recruit young women to this because they don't exist as undecided voters.
Yeah, where are young women going? I mean,
a little bit more. Luntz described a broad shift in voters towards Harris, driven by the appeal of her attributes, particularly among disillusioned young adults and women. The people who are undecided have all collapsed towards Harris. The people who are weak Trump have all collapsed towards undecided. It's this broad shift, Luntz said. We've got some sound of Luntz. And Luntz has been trying to steer his guy. I mean, he's really in the Trump team. He would like Trump to perform, but he's not performing. And I want to correct you slightly. Frank Luntz lives in a replica White House. Kevin McCarthy was his housemate. Kevin stayed over at his house.
yeah, I'm sorry. I thought this is what I said, but yes, he was rooming with Kevin at his place with his weird Oval Office build out. I mean, come on. I know sometimes I put it as a backdrop at the green screen, but it's not like I'm actually building out an Oval Office at my crib, dude. Wow.
Well, I would put him in the childless cat lady category, Dom. He should be a Harris supporter, but I think he's more of a Team Trump guy.
Given
Frank
his age at being post-menopausal, I mean, he should be giving up his job as a pollster and just taking care of the grandkids.
Rich, while there's time, before Hot Flash hits, let's play some of the promised sound of Frank Luntz. Let's get it started. Play it.
She's bringing out people who are not interested in voting for either Trump or Biden. So the entire electoral pool has changed. And if it continues in this direction, you have to start to consider Democrats winning the Senate and Democrats winning the House. The actual people who are participating, she's got intensity now. She's got an intensity advantage. She's got a demographic advantage. And I haven't seen anything like this happen in 30 days in my lifetime.
A little bit more of the Frank Luntz. While there's time, Rich, play it for the people.
The people who are undecided have all collapsed towards Harris. The people who are weak Trump have all collapsed towards undecided. It's this broad shift. I'm trying to do a focus group tonight with undecided voters under the age of 27 for a major news outlet. And I can't recruit young women to this because they don't exist as undecided voters. And you shift the demographics and you shift the entire outcome. There are issues, attributes, and the conditions of the country. The issues and conditions favor Donald Trump. He should be winning this election. But the attributes are so much in Harris's favor that he's not. That the very attributes that Trump offers, and the best example, you did the story on the UAW, why is Donald Trump saying publicly, I want to fire the same people that he's getting now, still getting union members? It's ridiculous. It's as though he's lost control. And I know that there are billionaires who watch this show who are spending a lot of money on Donald Trump, and they don't understand why he's committing political suicide.
Oh.
And more importantly, he's self-imploding with their money. That's what's really going to bother them. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. You can join us, 844-967-2789.
The American dream is dead.
At Radio WMDX, Madison's home for Nightlight with Peach Wildlife.
We were talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump. He also said that he knows how to correctly pronounce Kamala Harris's name. He just chooses not to. And so I think that kind of opens it up for us to take some liberties.
Yeah, what would be your fix to the name?
Dave from New Berlin texting in Connell. Dumb. Also, Calvin's was Donald Trump.
Who said there's a correct one?
Matt and Nair on air. Weekdays at 11 on Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
Who is the toughest billionaire? I'm pretty sure I could take Warren Buffett. He's like 94. Elon Musk is the richest guy in the world. He's got like 200 billion bucks. Then Jeff Bezos.
I don't know how Jeff would fight.
What about Mark Zuckerberg?
No, that guy.
I'll say Bill Gates. He would probably take a dive.
Isn't Michael Jordan a billionaire now?
Okay, I would take Michael Jordan.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights 7 till 9 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
Missed your favorite show live on air? It's easy to find what you enjoy wherever you listen to podcasts, including Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And we're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app.
Out here in the middle of these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on earth. That's how it feels when you're struggling with your mental health. But you don't have to feel alone. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates. Sausage making never looked so good.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Going to go to the lines and the text. Same number, 844-967-2789.
Let's go. Who's first, Dom? Let's get Susan on a car phone. Susan, welcome. What do you got for us?
Well, actually, what would happen if Utah went blue? My sister lives in Utah, and there was an article in the paper about how a lot of the people in the LDS church are not happy with Trump, and they are actually encouraging folks to vote for Harris, which would be really historical because Utah is very blue. So I think if Utah turned blue, there might be a huge turnout in other such states also.
Mormons for Harris.
I just send the article. Pardon?
I said Mormons for Harris.
Yeah, there are. They are coming out, and I can send you the article when I get home. I just send it to your text line, or where should I send it?
Sure, absolutely.
It's an interesting read. So, yeah, and so that would be, to me, that would be amazing because, Romney has, run that state for a long time, and the LDS Church is very supportive of Romney, but they're not happy with Trump, and there are people who are out to change that, and they have people coming out asking folks to vote for Harris. So that's a huge thing because the LDS Church actually runs the state of Utah. So because they don't make any changes unless the LDS Church says it's okay. So,
well, dare to dream, yep. Susan. That would be if Utah is in play.
Right. Come on.
We've got a Noah-like blue flood, I would suspect. I cannot imagine they could overcome the very red voting demographics of Utah. I haven't pulled up the precise, but voting trends in Utah are pretty damn red. We'll verify that, but yeah, Utah has been a pretty staunch Republican state historically. Last time Utah went blue was 1964, so that would be a shift in the electorate.
Certainly, wow. I'll believe it when I see it.
967-2789. I can tell you, I do think perhaps Florida is in play, and I do think that North Carolina is in play. Those states could have changed. The demographics are such, and the numbers are such, that would be less of a pipe dream. But Utah, that'd take a lot of Mormons, a lot of magic underwear, and I believe, though, it could happen. 844-967-2789. Cindy from Appletown. How you doing, Cindy?
Hey, Cindy.
Hello. I'm good, thanks. And I think the American dream is dead. And I blame that on the big corporations and the rich people who just can't seem to make enough money and get enough money out of, milking the blood out of the stone. So to that extent, I do agree there is some of that because the rich people just can't seem to make enough money.
They
Well,
give it
certainly
all away for
diminishes-
just a little more, right, Cindy?
It certainly diminishes the opportunity when a singular human being like Elon Musk can amass $250 billion worth of wealth. I mean, that's bigger than nations' gross domestic product, Cindy.
Yep.
Cindy, appreciate your contribution. I'm not sure that I'm so pessimistic about the American dream. I live the American dream, Dom, in some way, shape, or form, and I hope to extend that to the next generation. I hope my kids do better than I did. But, quite frankly, as awarded the state of Wisconsin as a kid who was in foster care, as a kid who, thought he was orphaned at 12, I mean, opportunities were presented to me, and the great equalizer is education. But this nation doesn't owe you anything per se, except an opportunity. And, some are given opportunities and some succeed and some get knocked down in life and get back up and try again. And if you keep getting up, that is success. That is the American dream. The only promise is the journey, not the destination. 844-967-2789.
Sounds like an Aerosmith song, man. And is the American dream the same for everybody? Does everyone have the same definition of
Well,
quote
of course
unquote
not.
the
Of
American
course
dream?
not.
Right,
But-
it's subjective.
But once upon a time, there was sort of a hallmark Norman Rockwell American dream. It's 2.5 kids, a white picket fence, a little house, and a job that allowed you to pay the bills. And I
Now,
think for a lot of people,
did that job
that American
include
dream has
does
been
that include
diminished.
women working that job? Where are the black people and the Hispanic people in this American dream portion, or all the immigrants? Quote unquote legal or illegal.
I don't know why you would think that those that came here from some other country would somehow, I would think they lift up the very personification of the American dream as someone that comes here with nothing, seeking more for themselves. The immigrant is the personification of the American dream, especially when they succeed, when they provide for their kids, the next generation.
Yeah, but
something
the
more than they
circumstances,
had
the
for
culture
themselves.
have to be there. Women, come on, man. Women couldn't get a credit card till the 70s, right? Black and women, black
So
and
is the
white
American-
men,
so is the
black
American
and white
experience getting
couples
better
couldn't
or
get married.
worse?
Well, I get it, but I think it's getting better. Some of those megas think it's getting worse. So what
Well,
is
I
the
get it,
American
Dom, but the
dream?
American dream is generally been acknowledged to be people who can give more success to the next generation than they experienced. Is there opportunity? Is there greater opportunity in America than any other country in the world, as far as I can tell? Yeah, still to this day. The American dream is alive and well and kicking right here on the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, independent production on Devil Radio. We're entrepreneurial right now, Dom. We're living the American dream. I just thought it would involve getting paid more.
Isn't that, I really love this American dream part. God, I wish it paid better.
Well, so far it pays well enough to keep the lights on. So, that's a start point. The kids are in college, so, we're all surviving in some way, shape, or form. And I know there are people struggling in this world. I absolutely know it. But you only fail when you fail to get your ass up and dust yourself off and try again. And I know it's hard, man. My life's been hard. Everybody's life is hard. But the American dream is you make it easier for your kids. And then they don't respect you. They don't talk to you.
But they want your money.
And the car keys, of course.
Yeah.
Come back. More Devil's Advocates. Living the American dream right here on the radio.
Mad Radio WMDX, home of the John and Gordy Show.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. A man convicted in a triple murder in the La Crosse area will be sentenced to life in prison. A jury this week convicted Naya Tao for the killings at a quarry outside La Crosse 3 years ago. Prosecutors say Tao and another man killed 3 people over a debt. Tao faces a mandatory life sentence. glad to maintain control of federal money coming to Wisconsin after Tuesday's statewide referenda.
It's a wrong-headed effort to essentially make the legislators a part of the executive branch of government. I apologize for nothing there. We've done the right thing with that money.
Evers says the attempt to amend the state constitution was a Republican effort to get back at him. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now, here's what you need to know closer to home.
This is news from WMDX Madison. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. The proposed Imagination Center on the city's east side may be on the chopping block. It would have provided more services to an area that desperately needs them by becoming a library and community center in Rindall Park. It's one of the only areas in the city where people don't have a library within 2 miles. The plan has been in the works for a decade, but now with the budget deficit, it seems unlikely. Officials say they have the capital funding to build it, over $18 million. However, they don't have a plan to operate it, which would cost $1.6 to $1.8 million a year. The library board will have more discussions about it in the coming months. And right now, the Dane County Humane Society is working to clear the shelters. The national event aims to create more space in shelters so organizations can help more animals. Each week, the Humane Society will lower adoption fees for a different species of animal. Right now, you can pay less to adopt a cat through Sunday. The Clear the Shelters event continues through September 10th. And that's what you need to know. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, WMDX News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Isn't it annoying when you're trying to make out with someone but your spouse is standing right there? Apparently this was an issue for newlywed Tom Cruise and his co-star Gina Gershon while filming the 1988 movie Cocktail. Gershon appeared on Bravo's Watch What Happens Live and said that Mimi Rogers was always present during her intimate love scenes with Cruise. Sounds like maybe Rogers wished Cruise did not insist on doing his own stunts. Celebrities have weird quirks just like you. Katy Perry recently revealed a bedtime routine she does that involves lint rolling the bottom of her feet during a recent conversation with British Vogue's In the Bag. Immediately following her admission, she says, "Is that weird? We all do weird things, and I just shared mine with the world." Fair enough, Katie. Staying in the spirit of this beat, here's a Schwaba health and beauty tip. Never accidentally use a dustbuster on your uvula. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 7 to 9 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. A few showers possible this evening, mostly cloudy overnight. Low mid-60s. For tomorrow, more clouds, a few storms again popping up. High tomorrow around 80. Partly sunny, isolated showers in upper 70s Saturday. Low 80s and mostly sunny Sunday. Currently at 72 degrees.
The Todd Alba Show.
Chairman of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, Ben Wickler. Now, I was involved in politics for 30-plus years. I've never seen anything in the state of Wisconsin like I saw in Eau Claire last week. 2 miles away from the venue, and there were cars parked alongside the roads.
It's not just cities, it's rural places and small towns and medium-sized towns. It's everything. Voters realize in this moment they have the power to shape history.
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. It's summertime in Wisconsin, and whatever the weather, it will impact you and your plans.
Should I water the garden? Will our event be rained out? Count on your local Civic Media radio station for in-depth details and the most up-to-date forecast.
Temperatures are rising into the mid and upper 70s under sunny skies.
It's your weather and more for your part of Wisconsin.
On your local Civic Media radio station and streaming on the Civic Media app. Jane Matnair and Greg Bach.
Coming up on the show, an updated version of all the best people who could be in a second Trump administration. Don't miss it.
Matt Nair on air, weekday mornings at 11.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Cleaning the decks on a Thursday afternoon because Dom Crute recharging the batteries tomorrow. Off to the DNC all next week. Live shows 4 to 6. And then the Devil's Advocates will bring you the best damn anchored coverage from the DNC you ever heard. 7 to close each and every night. So please give us a listen all next week. Check your local listings, but we'll be on 4 to 6, take a little dinner break, and then back at 7 to bring you all the important speeches all week long. DNC in Chicago, I'm very excited. Also, Kamala Harris coming to Milwaukee on Tuesday. I would encourage you to attend. And then I would also like to just say, Dom, the American dream is alive and kicking. And the American dream is your outlook on the future of this country, I would say, in some way, shape, or form. And certainly there have been reasons to be pessimistic. Donald Trump's a great one. But I'm telling you, man, we are going to overcome this bastard. We as a nation look forward to governance of the willing. You know what I mean? It'd be great to have a president that represented all of us. But ultimately, here's what I believe. I believe the American dream is alive and well, and it lives in the joyous campaign of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And I think if we believe, and I do believe, I believe in a better future for this country. I believe it can get better. I believe we can overcome. But I don't think this nation's ever going to be fair. I don't think the fairer is promised to you by the American dream. Just opportunity. It ain't going to be fair. Some people are going to get screwed. I met a few of them. I've been one of those guys once or twice. But again, then the question is, how do you react? Do you get up? Do you shake it off? I say yes. We Americans got up, we shook it off, and we're going to elect Kamala Harris, and it's going to get better around here. I feel it. I feel it in my soul. And I believe I have a soul, Dom. That's why I'm an optimist. And you don't believe you have one, and that's why I perceive you as a pessimist.
Just consider me a realist, man. Hey, we got to have something to strive for. Certainly opportunity is not equal, right? I mean, we can acknowledge that. I appreciate your optimism, Crute, but I mean, living through Trump and the pandemic and all those things, it was not the best of us. We are not experiencing right now the best of this country. We got the guy Trump on television right now saying murderers and drug dealers are mostly people that are coming in. What are you going to do on the first day to make things better for the American people? We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to close the border. That's his answer. I just think that's
and mass
superficial.
Deportations. Don't forget about the inhumanity of trying to round up, 10, 15, 20 million people and shipping them off. Setting aside the tremendous implausibility of that ever happening, the tremendous suck of actual labor out of the workforce. We need the workers. It's completely against, it's anathema to the American dream, what is being proposed by Donald Trump, Dom.
844-967-2789. Let's get back to some of our great callers. Tom, our pal from Madison. Welcome, Tom. What do you got for us?
Tom, is the American dream alive or dead, sir?
The American dream is changing. That's what it is. Those Norman Rockwell people with their white picket fences have their dream, but now they're really scared that there are brown people and black people and gay people who want a house like that too, and it's freaking them out. I think that's where a lot of the fear is. But I just came back from Tulsa. I was doing the Joe Hill play at the Woody Guthrie Center. So I drove through Missouri and Oklahoma, and I think I saw a total of 2 Trump signs. It was amazing.
Wow.
I saw dozens and dozens of, this Republican for Senate, this Republican for sheriff, this Republican for state assembly. And right now I'm driving towards Milwaukee. I see one Hovde sign and not a single Trump sign. And that wasn't happening 3 years ago. I think it's pretty amazing.
You got to get out on some of the interstate highways, Tom, because there's plenty of Trump signs out in this state. I've been driving the roads. But I appreciate that it doesn't have that same feel. There's not the same painting the side of the barn with the Trump. There was a lot of that in the 2016 and 2020 cycle, Tom. And I don't disagree with you, but I still see the rabid Trump MAGA fans, because they got like 10 flagpoles up in front of their house.
They can have
and
10 flagpoles,
3 Trumps
and a few AR-15s, but they only get 1 vote. 844-967-2789. Bob from Madison, you're next. Welcome, Bob. What do you got for us?
Hey, Bob.
Yeah, Trump, Biden this morning called Trump Donald Dump, which I thought, 10 infrastructure week programs, and he never got anything done. But Biden finally got infrastructure done. And it's a good thing because every time Trump opens his mouth, it demonstrates the need for better wastewater treatment facilities.
Bob, do you think the American dream is alive or is it dead?
I think the American dream has been sidelined somewhat ever since Reagan brought down the top tax rate and the 1% took off and left the rest of us behind. And I do statistical research, and when you do the 5 quantum 20 percentiles and then the 5% and the 1%, and you look at that research, it turns out that they've left 99% of us behind. Even those in the bottom half of the top 5% have shown no progress since 1979.
Well, you're not rich enough, Bob. Got to be richer.
Well, that's the whole idea. You got to be bought off by the billionaires, by the oil companies. Isn't that bribery when he offers to drill for $1 billion cash? It seems like that's bribery, and all that. But it really is a sad thing that ever since they crushed the unions in the 80s and dropped the top tax rate, the billionaires have had a field day, and especially since 2010 with Citizens United, now they really own the country. And look at Harlan Crow behind Thomas. He goes back to the early 80s when Roberts was working for the Reagan administration. So you've got a long chain of events, and the guy who wrote the book Who Killed the American Dream dates it back to the Supreme Court justice in the 70s who said that we've got to organize against all these civil rights and
was that Rehnquist?
Peace types.
Was that Rehnquist? I thought Rehnquist controlled that court for a good long time, Bob.
No, that's not Rehnquist. That's Powell. Yeah, Powell. Powell did that in about 1971.
Well, now
he's got a famous quote.
You're getting a little ahead of my times, Bob, but I've been paying attention since like Sandra Day O'Connor and Rehnquist. But before that, I was a little too junior to be paying attention. And kind of like Donald Trump, I never picked up a history book.
They're so heavy. 844
words.
967-2789. Let's get Mark in from the SAC. Welcome, Mark. What do you got for us?
Mark, may I indulge my question first, which is the American dream?
Certainly.
Is the American dream alive or dead, to your opinion, Mark?
It's alive and well because you got me thinking about the 1964 Bob Dylan song that came out when I was six years old. They went through that the times are changing, they've always been changing, and that how it ends up, the line it is drawn, the curse it is cast, the slowest now will later be last, as the present now will later be past, the order is rapidly fading, and the first one now will later be last because the times they are changing, and the times they are changing because we have a black woman that is going to be the next president of the United States, and that's going to drive Trump nuts. His head is just going to explode.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that sentiment, Mark. And I also agree that the American dream is alive and well. And of course, we evolve as a nation. But I'd like to think after some faltering steps, maybe, a few steps backwards, I'd like to think we're back on the right direction. I feel it, man. I feel an optimism I didn't even feel a month ago. But now I feel it, Mark. I feel optimistic about the future for my kids, for the sake of perhaps future Crute grandkids.
Yeah, there was a song during the uprising there in the Capitol, something about they're knocking us one step back, but we got to take two steps forward, and that we have to just confront these right-wing nitwits wherever we can.
Mark, I appreciate your contribution. Thanks for listening. I actually think you might be confusing that with the Paula Abdul song. One step forward, two steps back.
Yeah. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. At least you get some steps. Thank you for the call, Mark. 844-967-2789. But certainly if it's the idea that every citizen should have equal opportunity to, achieve success and prosperity through hard work, determination, and initiative. I mean, there's a lot of poor people that work really, 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 really hard. And if you have, for instance, a bunch of white men trying to dictate whether or not you're going to have a forced government birthing, that can certainly impact what your dreams and your goals may be. So, I think it's relative. I think it's an aspiration, certainly. That's what this country is, to strive for, and we never meet it. You can never possibly meet the expectation, but you can try. You can articulate it. You can identify where we've fallen, where we've failed, acknowledge it, and try to do better in the future. But it's an ideal. It is literally a dream. It's not a thing, and you got to work it every single day.
Hustle. Every day I'm hustling.
Every day I'm hustling.
Jake from Milwaukee said Hubby's dream is to give Wisconsin a mustache ride. My pal Brian from Madison says the American dream is different because America operates in two different worlds. People of color are never going to break through the white wall of success. Conservatives, the poorest white man, still thinks he's better than a billionaire like Michael Jordan. All I'm hearing from you is but is a black man, all I'm hearing is you're acknowledging, but merely saying, oh, look at you and good for you for living our dream. It's good-hearted, but a little condescending. Black businesses need to see you and CJ walk through their doors and put those white dollars. He acknowledges the voice to text didn't completely capture everything he's trying to express here. A little wordy, paraphrase it, still love the show. A little less of you today, though. Laugh out loud. Well, kiss my ass, Brian. I love you too, man. Lisa Joe says, but not everybody has the resources, nor the mental, physical, and or emotional ability to withstand being knocked down and having to rebuild. Also true. We're not all equally equipped in life. Jeff from Shorewood, Crute, what does getting screwed mean? Does it mean that if you're a multimillionaire, you got to pay a little more tax? Or does it mean that you can't get health insurance? Or does it mean that if you make minimum wage, you will see your ability to pay bills get more difficult? Well, I know when my kid had a pre-existing condition before there was Obamacare, getting screwed meant he was uninsurable. That's what it meant to my family. I mean, we've all had our experience, our run-in with something that seems entirely inequitable in our current existence. I'm not saying my life hasn't been easier. I am white. I went to college. But it wasn't easy, and I certainly made my share of mistakes along the way, and perhaps the greatest of all was partnering with you, Dom. God, man, why didn't we do something that made money? We could have been rich. Could have, invested in Tesla or done something.
Should have invested in plastics in the 70s. 844-967-2789.
Like credit cards?
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry. Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, Honey Bear.
Because remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
I'm sitting in the theater, Conrad. I'm alone. A couple walks in. Where do you think they sat?
Right in front of you.
Right in front of me. there's like 7-year-olds. I'm all the way down in the end. Where do you think this person came in? Not right next to me, but enough where it was weird.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba, weeknights 7 till 9 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app. Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk.
If the critique, if the beef of Tim Walz is that he spent money on children, on what they needed, whether that be universal meals or whether that be, record amounts for a state to invest in early childhood development, I am like, man, you are critiquing this guy and making him even more my hero.
Busted Pencils with Dr. Tim and Dr. Johnny. Weeknights at 6 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
We've all felt left out. And for people who move to this country, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You are listening to your local Civic Media radio station on air. Thank you. Did you know we are always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app too? And if you miss a show or game, find it wherever you get your podcasts or on our website, civicmedia.us.
Mad Radio.
You're listening to the radio show your mother warned you about, The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil Advocates radio show. Phone lines open, talk or text. It's the same number, 844-967-2789.
Dom, welcome to the listeners on the Civic Media Brewers affiliates. Brewers, a late comeback victory against the Dodgers today. 1-6-4. Got 3 in the bottom of the 8th. I didn't see the final game details, but last time I checked, Brewers were down 4-3.
Ooh,
I'm excited about that outcome.
They split that series then. Well done, Brewers.
They did. Well, they lost 2, and then they came back and they won 2. And now the Brew Crew are teetering on the brink of 70 victories for the season. Still a lot of games left. 69-52, 17 over 500. That's a big number. If they just play 500 ball from here to the end of the season, they're going to have over 90 wins.
Wow. Go Brewers.
Go Brewers. 844. No wonder why. Our audience, the American dream is the Brewers making it all the way to the World Series.
Oh, come on. Man can dream.
967-2789. The American dream for Detroit people is just winning more than 8 football games in a season.
Oh, come on. They won the division last year.
Easy for you to say.
And they're favored to win again this year. So, watch yourself, son.
We'll see what prognosticators know, Dom. I know a few that make some bad calls.
Yeah.
Going back to the text line, because people have put some thoughtful texts out there. Here's one from the 920. I think the American dream is having more and more added to the list all the time. And the ability to achieve the dream is getting harder, partly because of those additions, partly because of the supply side economics. My idea of the dream is a modest house, a family of choice, can pay the bills, put the kids through college, save for retirement, and take a vacation each year. Yes, as long as it's not next week during DNC week, we're going to need you to listen to Devil's Advocates each and every day. Chuckster from Racine says, and this is a little more depressing. Chuck not living the American dream today, more of a early grievance. Last Saturday, passed through west of I-94 Racine County for the Union Grove Car Show with my 73 Mustang. Well, that part, you're living the dream in that regard. It was nothing but Trump signs out there. Uh-oh. And then he says, sad Civic Media dropped WRJN broadcast signal with progressive talk and got suckered by well-organized GOP cancel culture saying we want oldies music back. I'm not sure if that's what influenced Civic Media. I think it was perhaps the overlapping signals of WAUK 540 AM and WRJN. But, I don't make those choices. I know you can find your Packers, your Brewers, your Badgers, and your Bucks right there on WRJN 1400 AM out of Racine, Kenosha. Got a couple of FMs down there for you. Come on, man. Don't be all sad like that. That's the best sports stick in the state of Wisconsin, according to me. But I'm right. I know it is. Bryant from Madison, kiss what? Your ass? Tell Dom to stand up and give you a straight left to the Menards, let's just say, for me. I don't operate that low. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Come on, man. Is that a short
You
joke?
don't have to read this. I love the show in the network.
The victim of a short joke here, man.
Not that there's anything wrong with it. You don't have to read this. I love the show in the network. And I'm lazy, I guess, because I don't edit voice to text. Yes. Lazy man, Bryant, not editing your voice to text. Sometimes I hardly know what you're saying. Chuckster also responding on the text line in real time. Chuckster says, if you have 3 WRJN signals and 2 of them FM, it's not how it works. I wish what you're proposing, Chuck, could be done, but I know the FCC licensing process very, very well. Those are all tethered stations. They will all play the same signal, both the FMs and the AM, and
as a requirement of getting the FM, right?
Of the specific licensing agreement for WRJN. That is how it works in the radio industry. The FCC determines whether or not you can play, and you cannot play alternative on either of those signals. I don't know why we're talking about this. My American dream would be the FCC lets you play any damn thing you want profanely on the radio. Dom, what's with all this not letting me swear on the radio?
I know. I mean, come on. Like
my
proper
American
discourse.
dream.
We should be civil. I mean, but we see what happened when and I get it. I get it now, man. I always thought, man, all these people are so stiff and they're so concerned about all these stupid things. So what? Then you got a guy like Trump, and he just blows the whole thing up, and he inspires, Charlottesville, let's say, good people on both sides, inspires people to crawl out from under rocks and think that this kind of behavior is acceptable, and hell, it should be encouraged for a guy like Donald Trump. He was speaking today. They're doing some fact checks on it. A little bit here I want to throw out to you from the New York Times. Trump called Harris a communist. Before taking any questions, he spent roughly 45 minutes delivering a diatribe barely distinguishable from a rally speech, deviated from prepared remarks about price increases and airing grievances about his legal troubles. I think I'm entitled to personal attacks, he told a reporter who asked him about his constant insults of Harris, arguing that she was also personally attacking him. I know you are, but what am I? Has Harris personally attacked Donald Trump? Has she called him fat? She called him stupid, old? Has she called him made any personal attacks? I'd like to know. I haven't heard any.
Well, she did point out his legal status as a 34-time convicted felon. That's going to feel a little personal to Trump, I suspect.
Oh, it's a legal status. Okay.
She's getting very personal. It's very personal.
I mean, do you want a felon to be president? No, you don't.
Dom, the American dream is alive and well. I'm convinced. Come back with us. Joe Biden on the stump with Kamala Harris today, and he took a pot shot at Trump and got a little personal with him. Did Joe Biden get personal? Yes, he did. We'll play it for you next.
Radio WMDX, Madison's home for Matt Nair on air.
Todd Albaugh. Hey, everybody, join us next time as Luke Mathers is in the guest host chair at our replay of a great interview with Kelly Call and Sean Hamish of the new film, Just a Bit Outside. Be there.
The Todd Albaugh Show, weekdays noon till 2.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
This is your hometown radio, refreshed, keeping you informed, entertained, and connected locally across the Civic Media Network. You're listening to Mad Radio, WMDX 1580 AM Columbus, W224EG Madison, and always streaming on the Civic Media app.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The debate calendar filling up. The Trump and Harris campaigns agreeing to one vice presidential debate. Here's ABC's Stephen Portnoy.
The one VP debate that both sides have agreed to is October 1st on CBS. Republican J.D. Vance says there should be another face-off between him and Democrat Tim Walz in mid-September on CNN. But the Harris campaign says no, that it agreed only to 2 presidential debates and 1 vice presidential debate. As a Harris spokesman puts it, the debate over debates is now over.
Former President Trump holding a press event at his New Jersey golf club, criticizing his rival Kamala Harris and President Biden for driving inflation higher. It comes as new data shows inflation fell below 3% for the first time since 2021, but some costs for food items like eggs remains higher. Brokered talks on a Gaza ceasefire deal will continue for a second day tomorrow in Qatar, even though Hamas is not participating, saying they've already agreed to an earlier framework. This is ABC News.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Republican U.S. Senate candidate Eric Hovde says he has one question for Democratic incumbent Tammy Baldwin.
Why don't you debate me?
Hovde and Baldwin will debate on October 18th, but Hovde says he wants more. Democratic State Senator Kelda Roys.
She knows what to do to win Wisconsin, and that is to simply show up, listen to people, and work hard for them every day.
The election is November 5th. We're learning more about Vice President Harris's campaign stop in Milwaukee Tuesday. Her campaign now says she and running mate Tim Walz will hold a rally at Fiserv Forum. Tuesday is the second day of the Democratic National Convention, 90 minutes down the road in Chicago. Meanwhile, Republican Vice Presidential candidate J.D. Vance campaigns in Milwaukee tomorrow. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Here's what you need to know closer to home.
This is news from WMDX Madison. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Nearly 15,000 families may be on wait lists for childcare across our area. Local nonprofit 4C surveyed childcare centers across 11 southwestern Wisconsin counties, and only about 45% of them responded. Collectively, they said they have 7,100 families waiting for care. So when you do the math, it's likely at least 14,000 families are in limbo, biding time on wait lists. And Madison school leaders want to hear from you about what you want new buildings and facilities to look like. The district will have a $507 million referendum on the ballot in November to pay for renovations and new buildings. But they want your help. District staff will give a short presentation on the budget and then show off some dream boards at some meetings soon. Then you can fill out a survey to give your feedback of what you think these renovations should look like and what would benefit students and families. There are 11 meetings over the next 5 weeks or so at schools across the city. And that's what you need to know. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, WMDX News.
The Badgers name a starting quarterback. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Phil Longo, Wisconsin Badgers offensive coordinator, was asked, so who's the new starting quarterback? Is it Braden Locke or the transfer from Miami, Tyler Van Dyke?
We have named Tyler Van Dyke our starter. I will tell you that Braden Locke, last year it was Tanner Mordecai, and the number 2 is Braden Locke. This year it's Tyler Van Dyke, and we really see Braden Locke. I mentioned to you in the past how much better he's gotten this year. That's how well Braden has done here in camp. But as of right now, Tyler Van Dyke is our starter.
NFL, the Packers flying to Denver for a joint practice against the Broncos tomorrow. Sunday night, the starting quarterback will not be Jordan Love. It'll be backup Sean Clifford.
I do think that when the lights come on, it's a little bit different for me. I don't know, it's just an excitement level. I do like to kind of think of myself as a gamer in a way.
Baseball, the Brewers wrapping up their 4-game series with the Dodgers. The Crew winning last night, 5-4, thanks to closer Devin Williams. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. A few showers possible this evening, mostly cloudy overnight. Low mid-60s. For tomorrow, more clouds, a few storms again popping up. High tomorrow around 80. Partly sunny, isolated showers in upper 70s Saturday. Low 80s and mostly sunny Sunday. Right now it's 73.
Matt Nair on air.
We were talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump. He also said that he knows how to correctly pronounce Kamala Harris's name. He just chooses not to. And so I think that kind of opens it up for us to take some liberties.
Yeah, what would be your fix to the name?
Dave from New Berlin texting in Connell.
Donald.
Dumb. Also, Calvin's was Donald Trump.
Who said there's a correct one?
Matt
tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot? Or maybe juggling cats while riding a unicycle? Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel, give driving your undivided attention.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The John and Gordy Show.
On our next show, Rocker will join us in the studio with a Max 8 preview.
And I'll be in Sun Prairie for Cop on a Rooftop at Duncan.
Join us.
Weekday mornings 6 until 8 on Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX. The Devil's Advocates Radio Show is broadcast under a time brokerage agreement between Devil Radio and Civic Media Inc. Some portions of this program may be pre-recorded. Warning! You are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Civic Media Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
And now, here's your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dom rolling into a Thursday happy hour. Here we go. Here we go. And I'm very excited. I'm telling you, I'm very optimistic about the future of our country. The campaign of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz has given me enthusiasm to my core, Dom. I'm telling you, the American dream is alive and well.
Is it? I mean, is it? I'm just curious, though. Is it because
living in my heart?
Would you have said this a month ago?
No.
So what else?
My whole life has changed for the better in the last 30 days.
Man. Really? I mean,
really?
So the outcome.
Really?
But I mean, you're older. Are you any healthier than you were? You have more money in the bank than you did. I guess my point is your perception has changed. None of the, I mean, other than the candidate, nothing's really changed, right?
My perception about the future of our nation has changed, Dom, because now I feel optimism about the future. And it comes from the Harris-Walz campaign. And I felt nothing but dark, brooding pessimism because I thought there was a damn good chance that Donald Trump was going to beat Joe Biden. I saw it on the debate stage, man. I'm horrified of another Trump term. I've lived through it, man. I can't go through it again. And then it all changed in a heartbeat, in a weekend. Sunday, Joe dropped out. 30 minutes later, he endorsed Kamala Harris. Saw her on that Tuesday in West Allis. That was like a rock concert. I felt that energy. I'm like, wow, this is different. And the whole party rallied around Kamala. The whole nation is rallying around Kamala. People that don't even pay attention are rallying around Kamala because they feel hope. They feel optimism. It feels damn good. Certainly better than the alternative.
Well, yes. I mean, I'd much rather be in a good mood than a bad mood. But at the end of the day, man, the sun still came up. The sun still goes down. We still got the same tax rates. We still have the same political circumstances. We still have the same environmental circumstances. Literally, nothing has changed other than the top of the ticket. And this has brought this big, profound change in you, Crute. But nothing's really. But again, I got to tell you, I think it's
everything changed, Dom, when Joe Biden stepped out, and God bless the man. I can't wait to celebrate him Monday at the DNC in Chicago. Monday is St. Joe's Day. But I got to tell you, what changed? The enthusiasm of the base, the enthusiasm of the American people, because we were starting to see this slow train wreck, which would have led us to another term of Donald Trump. And suddenly, it wasn't another train coming down the tracks. That light at the end of the tunnel was Kamala Harris. And she has given, not just me, Dom, it's not me, dude. It's the whole nation. She gave us hope. I have hope again. I feel good. It feels good to feel good, man.
It does, though. It does. I
haven't felt this good since Obama days.
I was getting a little sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Absolutely. 844-967-2789. We're going to get to you, callers. But I got to tell you, Joe Biden came out today campaigning for my new favorite candidate, Kamala Harris. And, the question was, well, did it get personal? A little bit. And we got the sound. Rich, if you'd be so kind, let's play President Joe Biden. He's the actual president, in case any of you MAGA can't tell the difference. Joe Biden on the stage, and the occasion, Dom, savings for the American people, drug price savings, Medicare savings, negotiated savings. The government is allowed in a capitalist nation to do bulk negotiations on drugs. Now they are under Harris, under Biden. And they're out there crowing a little bit, but let's hear Joe Biden sticking it to that other guy just a little bit.
But this time, we finally beat Big Pharma. And I might add, with no help from Republicans, not a single Republican voted for this bill, period. Not one in the entire Congress. Now, the reason I say it is not to make a political point about them, not if they've gotten their lesson, but guess what? They want to, the guy we're running against, what's his name? Donald Dump or Donald, whatever. They want to get rid of this, what we passed. They're fighting to get rid of what we've just passed. No, I'm serious. No help from Republicans passed the Inflation Reduction Act thanks to the tie-breaking vote of Kamala made it possible.
And for a minute there, you're like, oh, God, there's Joe struggling for his words. But it was a setup. And he knew what he was doing, and he was being a little mischievous, searching, what's that guy's name? Donald Dump. I think he's getting a little personal. I think he has seen the silhouette, or, he has been on the same debate stage with the man. He's probably smelled those Depends, Dom.
Well, perhaps, but certainly every time Donald opens his mouth, crap comes out. There's no doubt about that. 844-967-2789. New York Times reporting U.S. unveils price limits for 10 costly or common medications. Biden administration said it would have saved $6 billion had the new prices been in effect last year. As we heard President Biden say, this was, oh goodness, let's allow the government to negotiate, prices on medicine that they buy in bulk. Oh, what a shocking idea. The VA does it, but what, Social Security, Medicare, they can't, Medicare can't do it. They do have a list of the drugs here, but $6 billion would have been saved had this been in place. Made possible by the Inflation Reduction Act signed in 2022.
And just for clarity's sake, the negotiated prices will take effect in 2026, and they are expected to save billions of dollars for Medicare, which is funded by the taxpayers.
Yeah, weird.
So when Biden is saving us this money, it's all of our money, even yours, MAGA people. Maybe your grandma's as well.
Well, the pharmaceutical industry apparently opposed the negotiation program. Can you imagine
Shocker.
that? What? You want us to negotiate? No, we're going to force the price upon you. They quickly criticized the new prices on Thursday, saying it would not help patients. Bristol Myers Squibb, the maker of blood thinner, one of the drugs subject to negotiation, said the drug's new price does not reflect the substantial clinical and economic value of this essential medicine.
Dom,
they say it about all the medicines.
Here are a few of the included medicines and their new monthly capped cost under negotiated pricing. Eliquis for preventing strokes and blood clots. Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer, $231 per month. Jardiance. Now, if they've got enough money to put those singing ladies on my TV constantly telling me how much better it's going to be when I get some Jardiance, I'm going to lose some weight.
Hey, ask your doctor about Jardiance.
A1C.
This is like specific to this country, right? I mean, I don't think, and I'll have to look it up, but I think other countries do not allow for the advertising on television of these kinds of things. But I'll double check that.
Behringer Ingelheim and Eli Lilly, the cap will be $197 per month. It goes on like that. A lot of popular drugs, insulin products, autoimmune products, Imbruvica for blood cancer. That will be capped, and this is still a big number, at $9,300 per month. That's the cap price. Damn. Some of these other drugs are quite expensive as well. Stellars will be capped at $4,700 a month. But insulin, or these insulin products, $119 per month. 844. Go ahead, Dom.
Real quick, I just wanted to look this up. My source here, the Florida Department of Health, getting to my point. The U.S. and New Zealand, according to this Florida Department of Health, the only two countries that allow drug manufacturers to market prescription drugs directly to the public.
Dom, the legislation delivered more immediate benefits to Medicare beneficiaries, including a $35 monthly cap on out-of-pocket costs for insulin, a $2,000 annual cap on patient cost for drugs taken at home, and the $2,000 limit will go into effect next year. So that enacts sooner in 2025.
If you're paying $250 a month for drugs, you're gonna get that limit, right?
Well, you're definitely going to hit that limit. The seniors who may see direct savings from the negotiation provision of the law are those who insurance requires them to pay a percentage, often 25% of the drug's cost before discounts. When Medicare price is lowered in 2026, their out-of-pocket cost may be lowered too by as much as hundreds of dollars, though that will make little difference for some who will already be benefiting from the $2,000 limit on yearly costs. So this is good news for seniors especially. And this is the Biden-Harris administration delivering, and they're doing it from the stump, which I think also in this political time, Dom, is excellent. It's
but
well
they
done.
had to,
They say, well,
I mean, they had to pass the Inflation Reduction. They had to pass a law to allow the government to negotiate with the government's suppliers. I mean,
and the Democrats finally got around, unlike the Republicans, to doing that for the American people. They are actually delivering savings, drug cost savings to the American people, negotiated savings.
And to the point that Biden made, not one Republican voted for that bill. Zero.
Well, Trump give you a tax cut if you're rich enough. And Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will give you affordable drugs, capped prices, negotiated prices, and that saves all of our money. That's fiscally prudent. That's good for the American people, good for our tax dollars. Man, I love it when the Democrats show the way.
Big Pharma may have to cut back on their television advertising if they're going to, kind of offset the lower revenues they'll get from these drugs.
Well, Jardiance is looking more and more appealing to me every day.
Yeah.
Why work out? More devil's advocates.
You work out?
Mad Radio, WMDX, Madison's home for Nightlight with Pete Schwab.
The Todd Alba Show.
Speaking of JD Vance, if you're watching on the stream, you can see behind me what we're now calling the JD Vance couch. There are some reports that back in the day, during the frat days of JD Vance, he may have gotten intimate with a couch.
I've slept on that couch a few times, but I can't say I've slept with that couch, and nor do I plan to.
No.
The Todd Alba Show. Weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media Radio station and on the app. It's summertime in Wisconsin, and whatever the weather, it will impact you and your plans.
Should I water the garden? Will our event be rained out? Count on your local Civic Media radio station for in-depth details and the most up-to-date forecast.
Temperatures are rising into the mid and upper 70s under sunny skies.
It's your weather and more for your part of Wisconsin.
On your local Civic Media Radio station and streaming on the Civic Media app.
There's danger out there.
lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
It's easy to listen to your favorite local radio station anytime. Download the Civic Media app from the Apple or Google Play Store. Then listen live or whenever you want from anywhere for free.
The back seat. Check the back seat.
Gets in your head, right? Good, because every year dozens of children are forgotten in the back seat. Cars get hot fast and can be deadly, so get it in your head. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Mad Radio.
I have type 2 diabetes, but I manage it well. It's a little pill with a big story to tell.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but the show is kind of a big deal.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone line is open. We'll go there shortly. 844-967-2789. The Biden-Harris administration having a presser today talking about negotiating prices for drugs like Jardiance, lowering prices for up to $6 billion if it would have been enacted last year. Now we talked about.
Well, I'm lowering my A1C down.
We talked about some of the prices, but I do also want to reiterate the prices that were released were the prices that Medicare Part D would pay for those, and certainly Medicare shoulders most of the cost, again according to the New York Times. And the patient usually covers a portion of that. So that $2,000 cap might take a little longer to reach, depending on how many and what kinds. But at the end of the day, this was the result of the 100% backed by only Democratic bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, that gave the government permission, thank you very much, to negotiate with their suppliers. And this is a direct result of that.
844-967-2789. Mike from Muscadet. Welcome, Michael. What do you got for us?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Good, man. I'm feeling optimistic about our nation. How about you, Mike?
Well, I tell you what, Crute, I tell you, my man, your newfound love, this totalitarian tampon Tim guy.
Come on. Wait, how is Tim Walz really totalitarian, man? What example do you got for me?
Well, when you set up a hotline to rat on your neighbor who isn't wearing a mask, that's totalitarian.
You probably didn't believe in any of those safer at home mandates during the pandemic, did you?
It's
Mike?
not totalitarian, Mike. If people weren't wearing a mask, he brought them out, nailed them down in the street, shot them in the back of the head. That's totalitarianism.
Totalitarianism when you set up a hotline to rat on your neighbor.
No, I know you
say
said
potato, we say potato, Mike.
So this guy's a commie. He's a commie.
A communist? Really?
Like commie law.
Did you hear your boy Trump today in a very low energy speech? I mean, he's looking older all the day, Mike. Every day, this
he's
guy.
A good man.
Oh, good.
He's a good man.
Old rambling, can't make a point sort of man. Mike, he was terrible today.
He's gonna.
Mike, come on, man. How could he possibly be concerned about communism when your guy said he'd be a dictator on day one? Explain that to me, please.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Yes.
Like I said,
yes. I'm listening, Mike, but I don't hear you saying anything. Yes. Dictator on day one. How's that any better than a communist, Mike?
He's not it. I tell you what, my man.
What, you don't believe him? Was he lying to you, Mike?
Respect.
No, there's no due respect, Mike. Don't give me that. Your guy literally said, I mean, if Joe Biden or Tim Walz, someone gets up and I'm a communist on day one. I don't know that you know, Mike, what the difference between a communist or a socialist or a dictator or a totalitarian. I don't know if you know, man. Do you know? Because I don't think you do. I think you like your guy. It's like Trump, man. It's an insane asylum or immigration asylum. Well, let me tell you. You ever see that movie? You ever see that guy? He's a very bad guy. Has people over for dinner all the time. I mean, are you kidding me, Mike? Come on, man. You sound as bad as he does.
Are we done with Mike? Oh, it's kind of harsh in my buzz a little bit.
Come on,
844-967-2789. I'm feeling good about the nation. And he wants to, go and look back at the pandemic and the policies during the pandemic and call them totalitarian. But I would remind anyone listening to my voice, and maybe that's you, Mike, these efforts were to try and keep you alive, dude. You sound a little bit older. You don't sound like a spring chicken anymore. And I'm just telling you, they were trying to keep you alive. So if that's totalitarianism, it's like Tim Walz, God forbid, feeding kids. How dare he? 844. I mean, some of their complaints about this guy. 844-967-2789.
Socialist,
And
Marxist,
the whole
communist, totalitarian dictator. I mean, everyone. Your guy literally said, I will be a dictator on day one. I mean, I don't know what else to say to you, man. You can say whatever you want about what you think Tim Walz, elected governor by the citizens of Minnesota, or anybody else is about their political or totalitarian leanings. But your guy literally said, and he was given an out. Remember that? What was that, Sean Hannity? Oh, you wouldn't do this, would you, sir? Oh, I'll be a dictator on day one. I mean, they were trying to walk him away from it because, of course, that's what he is. That's what he wants. That's why he sucks up to all the dictators, man. He would love to do that. He would love to be able to walk into the room and make you stand up and clap for him. If you didn't, they'd haul your ass out. He'd love to do that, but he can't. Thank you. Michael, you are my new number 2. 844-967-2789.
Wisco Paul, welcome, fella. What do you got for us?
Hey, Paulie.
Hi, Devils. Nice tuning into the greatest radio show ever.
Yeah, man.
And I'm glad I'm not. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not GOP grumpy old person, or I'm glad I'm not a grumpy old guy. That's
No, you've always seemed rather joyful. I always assume Mrs. Wisco must be a hell of a nice woman.
Yes, she is. Keeps me in line. Hey, I do have there's two things here before I get. Wasn't Voss the one that coined suicide train? Correct? On the suicide train, was it? He the one that first said that?
In regards to supporting Donald Trump before he turned around and endorsed Donald Trump, I believe he did say Trump as the nominee would be a suicide mission before he came back and supported Donald Trump, as they all do in a craven fashion, Paul.
Yeah, and I have a quick grievance. The GOP, trying to shove the 2 referendums down our throat, but thanks to you guys and a lot of other people, no luck this time. Tony keeps the power, which is a great, great thing. You guys have a great weekend, 3-day weekend for you boys. You deserve it.
All right on, Paulie. Appreciate it,
I'm going to
man.
be in Chicago on Sunday, Paul. The 3-day weekend ends early because the DNC is kind of a big deal, and we're going to be in Chicago all week next week. You're going to want to tune in. Devil's Advocates, special time in deference to the DNC. We'll be doing a 4 to 6 o'clock show, and then we'll be doing the best damn anchored coverage ever. And during the commercial breaks, you might hear about products like Jardians, which may help you lose 36 to 45 pounds and manage your A1C. And now cheaper, more affordable through Medicare, brought to you by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Do you think they should do a tandem ad? Jardian, Harris. They sort of go together.
No.
Come back.
No? No. No.
Trump could use some Jardian, couldn't he?
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Wisconsin wildlife officials are making some changes to the state's elk hunting rules. Department of Natural Resources Board is turning the elk hunting season into one continuous season between October 15th and December 15th. The plan also states the goal to grow Wisconsin's elk population while at the same time minimizing interactions between elks and humans. Governor says Tuesday's failed referenda show Republicans weren't serious about amending the state constitution to remove his power to allocate federal money.
If they felt that strongly about this effort, they wouldn't have put it on an August primary. So no, this is get back at Tony Evers' thing.
Evers says he makes no apologies about how he doled out pandemic relief funds. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now here's what you need to know closer to home.
This is news from WMDX Madison. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. It's Madison Black Restaurant Week. The event aims to highlight Black chefs and staff and dishes with deep roots. There are restaurants participating, but there are also lots of food trucks, too. That means dozens of places are participating, and you can sample just about anywhere in the city. And some owners say they're seeing a surge in customers this week. And then it all culminates this weekend with the Madison Black Restaurant Week Food Taste Jamboree. That's in Olin Park this Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. The Black Chamber of Commerce says the event is growing every year. Meanwhile, Sun Prairie's Sweet Corn Festival is now in full swing. Today, the carnival opens at Angel Park. For $30 tonight, you can get unlimited rides. There's live music, food and drinks, and of course, tons of sweet corn. The Chamber of Commerce spends over a year planning for the event. All the money spent at the event will go towards 6 local nonprofits. This is the 71st year of the festival. And that's what you need to know. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, and this is WMDX News.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Okay, movie fans, as the summer winds down and you're behind on your summer flicks, here are some suggestions in order of my personal enjoyment. Topping the list is Inside Out 2, which I thought was a near-perfect film. I actually liked it better than the original, and it crushed several box office records. If you hurry, you can still catch it on the big screen. Mad Max Furiosa was nonstop fun, and although not the spectacle its predecessor, Mad Max Fury Road, was, it was a heart-pounding fun ride. It is now available to stream, and although not as spectacular in your living room, still a great watch. Number 3 for me is A Quiet Place Day 1, as I really liked how there were no huge stars, which helped me lose myself more in the story. I actually liked the pacing better and the urban setting in Day 1 more than either of the first 2 Quiet Place films. Other films that will provide lots of entertainment: Dune 2, The Bike Riders, Civil War, Twisters, and Challengers. Have fun at the movies. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 7 to 9 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
I'm meteorologist Mace Michaels. A few showers possible this evening, mostly cloudy overnight. Low mid-60s. For tomorrow, more clouds, a few storms again popping up. High tomorrow around 80. Partly sunny, isolated showers in upper 70s Saturday. Low 80s and mostly sunny Sunday. Right now it's 73.
Busted Pencils. Fully leaded education talk.
If the beef of Tim Walz is that he spent money on children, on what they needed, whether that be universal meals or whether that be, record amounts for a state to invest in early childhood development, I am like, man, you are critiquing this guy and making him even more my hero.
Busted Pencils with Dr. Tim and Dr. Johnny. Weeknights at 6 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, Honey Bear.
Because remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Maggie Dawn.
It's Friday, y'all. We're talking education policy and everything that the Biden-Harris administration has gotten done for our young people who are indeed our future.
Charged, never convicted. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, a Clean the Decks Thursday edition. Dom, we're heading off to the DNC next week. Monday through Thursday, we'll do our normal 4 to 6 o'clock show. And then some of the greatest coverage ever, 7 to close on WCPT 820 AM in Chicago. Almost forgot about our good
How can you
friends
possibly?
south. KTNF 950 AM in Minneapolis, and of course across the Civic Media Network. the finest coverage ever. And we're going to be assisted by Patty Vasquez in the 8 to 10 o'clock hour. Dom, that's when the DNC is supposed to schedule, but I suspect they're going to run late quite a bit. Monday's going to be all about St. Joe Biden, and he's got an achievement today, the New York Times reporting, and Joe out there bragging a little bit on the stump with Kamala Harris today, bragging about drug savings negotiated by Medicare, not just for the taxpayers, but also for Medicare people on Medicare. So good for America. The American dream is alive. You can have a life beyond work with dignity, brought to you by the Democratic Party. Republicans, and I would just point towards the Project 2025, it's worth a Google. They would take that away. The, social safety net, they're not big fans. Like to roll back a lot of New Deal stuff.
Oh, man, go back to the
FDR.
50s. Yeah, you know it. We heard it.
The 30s, if you will, Dom.
If you could go back even further, I'm sure. I mean, what was the abortion law? The 18 here in the state of Wisconsin?
1849.
49. That's a long time ago. They literally went back to that.
844-967-2789. Joe from Madison. Welcome, Joe. What do you got for us?
Hey, Joe.
Oh, I'm firing up the Fury Mobile in response to one of your previous callers who referred to Governor Walz as Tampax Tim. The dead above the neck person might want to think about the fact of the number of people at the Republican convention that were wearing Kotex pads on their ears as an homage to our dear leader, Mr. Trump. And I would refer him to an article in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune from the 8th of August that talks about this particular subject. First off, and this is the stat that I find the most interesting, more than half of states in the United States already provide what are described as period products, be it Tampax or pads. More than half, and they include such incredibly blue states as, get ready, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio, Nevada. Hello, they already provide this material for young women. And they have found in New York City, for example, that after they instituted this kind of very low-cost addition to schools, there was a 2.4 increase in attendance after their state law went into effect that said you had to have free period products. Because girls stay home. Girls who are in poor backgrounds, they don't have the money for it, so they stay home. If we're bothering to pay for kids going to school for this minimal amount of money, you can ensure that your girl students are going to be there. When I think about what's spent on football, basketball, other things, I don't think that this is a very big cost. And in the case of Minnesota, the money that was provided was $2 million a year sent to schools, and the schools could decide where and how to place it. That was the school's choice, whether there's Tampax, wherever. I just can't believe that we're wasting our time on this. I mean, it is so obvious that it is such a good deal for the young women. And to this elderly man that gets off on saying Tampax Tim, remembering that there are more than half of the 50 states have this program, I would say, what if that were your daughter in school? What if that were your granddaughter in school, a niece, a neighbor's kid that you really like? Would you feel good about her being in that situation? Or for that minimal amount of money, would it be okay to spend that money so that these girls would have something to rely on? If we can do it for football practice, then gol darn it, we can do it for the young women of America. This is just embarrassing and stupid that this is the level that our country is at. If you can wear Kotex pads on your ears at the Republican convention, certainly they can be provided to young women in our schools. Rant of the day. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Well done. Wow, when she puts it like that, it makes it sound like our caller is kind of an ass.
Specifically, I think the caller reference was Mike from Muscadet. We name names here. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, Mike, that was you, man.
Text line says, Mike from Muscadet is the kind of guy I would have thrown rotten tomatoes at his house when I was a kid. He's a sourpuss. And then WMDX texter says, if he thinks that's totalitarian, wait until he finds out about the $10,000 bounties on pregnant women leaving Texas for abortions.
Oh, thank you. Who said that? That's a great observation. It's almost hard to forget about all the crazy ass things that these Republicans are doing. Yeah, $10,000
small government.
Yes.
Republicans, they claim. There are a few fine, smart texters that brought that to our attention. And also this, Dom, the VA gave me Jardiance. It did have me lose about 15 pounds. I think my A1C is down too. And Crute, I got to say, soft to you for taking off tomorrow to rest before the convention. And I'm thinking, don't judge me. You don't know what I got going on in my personal life right now.
You know me. Don't judge me. I do what I want.
I'm not so much taking off as redirecting my newfound energy and energies towards other non-radio endeavors tomorrow.
Just tomorrow.
I'm going to Chicago on Sunday, Dom. I'm doing the right thing. I'm getting there early, getting the lay of the land for the DNC, getting our credentials all squared away, all that kind of stuff. I've asked for credentials for Tuesday. I mean, I'm going to work my ass off next week, Jeff. Why don't you kiss my ass, get in line behind Brian. You're in the kiss Crudy's ass line right now.
And these are our friends.
Yeah, that's what we say to friends. Be our friend. 844-967-2789. But you know your friends bust more balls than damn near anyone, don't they?
That's why it matters. Absolutely. We have a relationship kind of like we do. And of course, we have a relationship with our audience. Hell, lots of our audience members we know personally. It gives you a little room to bust some chops, man. That's what friends are for. Tell you the truth and to bust your chops. Sometimes
we
it's the
partied
same.
with this guy. Welcome, LA Tom. Welcome back. How you doing, fella?
Hey, Tom.
Hey guys, I'm a joyful democracy warrior.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, this is let's get rid of this Project 2025 once and for all, whether it's on the Democratic or the Republican side. You know, the whole point of this is that we don't want an authoritarian dictator like Mike from Muscadet must want, because Mike, I actually did a little bit of research on your claim, and actually it was Donald Trump that actually was saying negative things about Coach Walsh, and had the Proud Boys showing up at his house when he was there. So it's your party. You guys lie. You guys just tell whatever you think looks like a fact. I don't know where the hell you got it from, but I wanted to actually just call to congratulate you, Crute, you, Dom, as well. But Crute, especially because, you know what, this whole network would not be here if it wasn't for Mike Crute. I know he doesn't like take a lot of good positives and stuff like that, but it's true. And the thing is, they knew back when Scott Wanker was actually governor that they could take on Wisconsin, make neighbors turn against neighbors, do divide and conquer. If they could do that in the state of Wisconsin, they could basically turn the country into a red authoritarian dictatorship. Now, I'm saying this, Crete, I feel very, very confident about America. And I feel very, very good about America right now, but I won't feel better until everybody gets out there, registers to vote, and votes these dicks out of frickin' the Congress, out of the House, the Senate, and let's take back the Supreme Court one way or another. And let's just continue to move progressive policies forward. And I think that's a great thing about Tim Walz, is that he's been able to reframe progressive policies into common sense. And that I think is just a complete win right there. And above all,
Tom,
what do you think, Crete?
We the people are the government. I didn't even hear you say that today.
And we said it for you.
I know, because I got banned. I got banned for saying that one time. So we the people ultimately are the government, and we are going to, as soon as we get Kamala Harris in there and we can get money out of politics, we'll restore government back to we the people. And I do believe that we the people are giving her more money in this horrible system that we have, where we have to get money out of politics through Citizens United, Buckley versus Vallejo, and First National Bank versus Bilotti. Thank you for the Powell Doctrine back when Reagan was there. And going full circle with that other guy from our before.
Come on, man. If you challenge me too much intellectually, you're going to get banned for that, Tom. Just keep her on topic, fella.
Keep it simple, baby.
Exactly. That's right. I'll keep it simple. We, the people, ultimately are the government, and we're going to kick ass. Just like the Green Bay Packers are going to kick ass this year. The Badgers are going to kick ass this year, and I'll tell you what, we are going to have a democracy for years and years to come for the children and grandchildren of this country, and it's all going to start, again in Wisconsin. I wish you guys didn't have all that power in the Electoral College, but you do. So it is up to you guys to make the rest of us that actually don't have very much of a vote in a place like the third largest economy in the world, California, to actually make it the difference, except for in the popular vote. But please, everybody, think about this. Your kids, your grandkids, read Project 2025. And Michael Muscatine, quit lying. You guys are just, you cheats is what you are. And that's not a good thing to be a Wisconsinite. Wisconsinites are very, very good people. And, we're right there with the Minnesota Nice. So thanks, guys. Go have a spotted cow on me. I wish I was there to have one.
Appreciate it, Tom.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Appreciate it, man.
Tom's, I think, in a good mood. Was that a good mood, Tom?
Yeah, man. Tom's in a great mood. I mean, they're picking up on you, man.
Positive.
Yes.
I think Tom's picking up what we're putting down around here, Dom. Positive energy. It is good to feel good about the future of America. And that's, I think, why people will support Harris and Walz. And I think that's why we shall win, Dom. And I feel good about the top of the ticket helping, and I've seen new polling that would seem to indicate the top of the ticket, it's got tails. It's got coattails. And it's starting to lift other candidates. More and more Americans are willing to vote for Democrats because they're more optimistic about the top of the ticket. And one of the few exceptions is the state of Wisconsin. And I would say in part, that's because Tammy Baldwin was already kicking out of his ass. How much more ass kicking is Tammy Baldwin got to be? She was so far ahead of where Biden was polling, and even now where Harris is polling. Tammy Baldwin, she is beloved even amongst Republicans, and I would point this out. And statistically, I can prove it. 100,000 Scott Walker voters voted for Tammy Baldwin. And she won, and Evers won, but they voted for Wanker, and they voted for Tammy. That is an accomplishment.
Wow.
Here are a few of the texts I've been seeing. The most communist action Tim Walz did was bringing a hot dish to a church potluck. That commie. And Chuckster says, did get my offer from the Dem Party and accepted. However, no guarantees to attend Kamala's Tuesday Milwaukee rally. Just have to be available sometime between 2 and 9 p.m. Oh, no, that's late.
Oh, that is late.
Earlier.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Oh, Crute is not going to be able to do that doubleheader. It's going to be huge. Hold your head up by Argent, Rockin' Hugh.
Hold your head up. Yeah, I know that one.
So it would seem if Chuckster can be believed on the text line, and so far he hasn't lied to me yet, Kamala's rally in Milwaukee may be later in the day, which would certainly put a crimp on my ability to attend. But that means we need you to go cover the rally and then tell us what it was like. Kamala Harris, 20,000 people in Milwaukee next Tuesday. Some approaching that. There'll be overflow, but you can get in. You can get in. I don't know.
You can get it.
Less plausible.
You probably wouldn't get back in time.
I wouldn't get back to Chicago for the DNC. And, Dom, we got hotel rooms and everything. It's a 5-day event for me now.
I didn't know Circus had a hotel room in Chicago.
It is a double standard. I have now verified that, so you do get a bed. Just be happy about that.
Wild West.
WMDX, Madison's home for the John and Gordy Show.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
The Todd Alba Show.
Even Scott Walker and other Republicans are going apoplectic because Trump keeps melting down into these personal attacks. He's just off the rails, Trigby.
You know, Scott may not be the brightest man, but he knows what politics is. Donald Trump is never going to change. Scott, come on the show. We'll talk about it. Todd and I will be nice to you, and I won't make Badger Boy State jokes.
The Todd Alba Show, weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. Matt Nair on air.
We were talking about Donald Trump. I'm sorry, Donald Trump. He also said that he knows how to correctly pronounce Kamala Harris's name. He just chooses not to. And so I think that kind of opens it up for us to take some liberties.
Yeah, what would be your fix to the name?
Dave from New Berlin texting in Connell.
Donald.
Dumb. Also, Calvin's was Donald Trump.
Who said there's a correct one?
Matt Nair on air. Weekdays at 11 on Mad Radio 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app.
Fear you may be missing out? We're always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app. Enjoy listening live or catch up by finding the podcast at civicmedia.us or wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts.
That first time seeing my son, I feel like my life did a 180. He really a definition of like why he loves somebody.
Through all of fatherhood's first, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
And welcome back to the Devil Advocates Radio Show, our last segment of the day. Got something to say? Hit us up on the lines right now. Talk or text. It's the same number, 844-967-2789.
Dom, today, in his effort to trash talk Kamala Harris, Donald Trump did a Bedminster press conference. First, he rambled for 45 minutes, and then he found out he had a cheering section, so he started, getting
playing
the
to the
cackles
crowd.
We were doing this fine radio show. I have no idea how the Q&A went, but one thing that was interesting, during the course of his remarks, I believe, Trump lamented the fact that San Francisco was a great city 15 years ago. You know who was the DA of San Francisco 15 years ago?
Well, who was?
Kamala Harris.
Oh, man.
Another interesting point I will make. I saw the social medias earlier today. I believe somewhere in the Detroit area, they've got a canceled check on a billboard. And I've thought to myself, well, that's Donald J. Trump's signature. That squiggly looks like a EKG.
Mate with a Sharpie, yep.
Sharpie, always signed in Sharpie. And the check is made out to Kamala Harris's district attorney fund, or maybe it was the AG race. But Donald Trump was a campaign contributor to Kamala Harris. That's how much he liked her back then, Dom. Former President Donald Trump took time during his news conference, is that what you call it? General news conference, at his Bedminster Golf Club in New Jersey to rage against Vice President Kamala Harris's home state of California, calling it one of the worst-run states and accusing her and Governor Gavin Newsom of destroying the quality of life there. Many people are leaving the state, 6 most from her state. She's destroyed as Attorney General. She destroyed California, along with Gavin Newsom. And San Francisco, is a great city. 15 years ago, now it's considered almost unlivable. You can't live there. And what they've done to that great state with the beautiful weather like this, where they have this weather all the time, and they have the ocean. I was thinking about sort of making that point to L.A. Tom. Like, L.A. Tom's always looking back at Wisconsin, but he's the one living with the great weather and the ocean.
Right. And
I read on,
and the earthquakes, too. Yes.
Oh, we should ask Tom about the earthquake.
Yeah.
A little bit more from the Trumpster, Dom. And they have the ocean, they have the sun, they have everything good. But what they've done to it, it's a shame, and she's going to do the same thing to our country. But as the reporting here at the Raw Story points out, Dom, there's just one problem with Trump's remarks. 15 years ago, the era he believes when San Francisco was great, Kamala Harris was serving as San Francisco's district attorney. And to boot, you know who the mayor was of San Fran then, Dom?
Oh.
Gavin Newsom. I mean,
you think it? I mean, I know. I mean, come on.
Is he
man.
always wrong? Is he always wrong? Even his own examples. He harkens back to a time when his political opponent was in charge as the great days for San Francisco. I mean, what a maroon.
It's just, it's the narcissist disease in this guy, man. He just rambles on and it doesn't have to be right. No one's going to correct him. And even if they do, he'll call you nasty. And, his followers and sycophants like Mike from Muscadet, don't pick up on it, or they'll excuse it away. Oh, he didn't really mean that, or he meant, 50 years ago, or he didn't really mean, they'll just continue to accept it. But, generally speaking, I mean, when we go out and we have conversations, we interact, or as Hovde would say, interface, we are interfacing. Generally you hold people to account. You hold people to their words. And if they're talking trash, they're talking smack, you call them out on it, man. And you don't bring them back. This guy, Donald Trump in Bedminster today, told the world press he was doing a press conference and then rambled on for 45 freaking minutes. I mean, people cut away. CNN cut away. News organizations cut away, because that's not a press conference. That's a speech. That's a rally. When you got people hooting and hollering, that's not a press conference, yo. So am I shocked to think that Donald Trump misspoke or, accidentally complimented his opponent instead of criticizing her as he meant to do? Of course not. Will anything change with Mike from Muscadet? Of course not.
Dominic, during the course of this low energy press conference from Bedminster, where Trump was literally putting his finger on a binder with the script, and he still refused to follow that script. He was, yes, very, very old man style. You can see it in your mind's eye. But Dom, during the Q&A, and we missed some of this because we were doing this show as mentioned, but now that the reporting's coming out, Trump was asked some questions, and apparently Americans' credit card debt is going up. So one of the questioners asked, what about credit card debt?
Sure.
And Donald Trump answered, you know what I think they should do? They should, on November 5th, or sooner if early voting, which largely it is, which is ridiculous. We should have one-day voting paper ballots. We should have voter ID. We should have proof of citizenship, because people are voting and people are going on now without citizenship, but we should do it. That was a question about credit card debt. What would you do? So first he tells you vote early, but voting early is don't vote early. Does he realize he's undermining his own political campaign?
No, I
in real
literally
time?
heard that part during one of our breaks. I turned the mute off on the TV and listened to it. And he's like, and then vote for me. Number one, vote for me. Drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill. And we'll do many things on day one. Many things. It's the same old BS, man. He's got no answers. The shtick is old. It's the jerky boys election, man. Come on. It's old. Go away. Bye.
Maybe fat Elvis Trump should try Jardians.
I hear it's cheaper now.
Thank you all for listening to this fine show. We're taking tomorrow off. Rich is still doing the hard work, getting the best of. And then Monday, live from Chicago, the greatest coverage you ever wanted to hear. It's us. You'll tune in, I hope.
Yeah.
4 to 6 and 7 till who knows.
Wow. All right, fellas. See you on Monday.